episode is sponsored by Reddit. One of the best parts of Magic is sharing your excitement with the gathering. And Reddit is where players gather first to react, geek out, and share ideas. Whether you're gushing over new cards at r/MagicTCG, speculating on lore at r/MTG Vorthos, or checking out trailers at r/gaming, Reddit is the hub where everyone can find their interests and their people. Whatever your niche, Reddit has a sub full of fellow players ready to share tips, theories, and discoveries. So download the Reddit app today and dive into r/MagicTCG for the latest gaming updates.
Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Command Zone podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Weeks.
How's it? It's Josh Lee Kwai.
And today we are talking about some superheroes.
Yeah, this is a big one. This, in my memory, the initial list of cards we might talk about was longer than any set I can really remember.
It's unbelievable, the amount of cards that are relevant.
What we do generally is, for an episode like this, is just go through all the new cards and then just make an initial list of we could talk about, and then we narrow that down to a reasonable amount that won't be like a 6-hour long episode. And also there's cards where it's we could talk about it, but there's not a lot to say, or it's pretty obvious it says zombies, put it in your zombies deck. That's not interesting. But usually the starting list is not 75 cards, but it kind of was for this one, which just tells you there's a lot of cool stuff in here.
There's an unbelievable amount of cards for your 99. There's an unbelievable amount of potential commanders, and all of them could kind of be both because so much of this set is legends. So it is a difficult card to talk or set to talk about. In a way that is so specific, but we've covered a lot of really cool cards. We think we've got the highlights for you, but if we miss one, forgive us. This is an enormous set.
Yeah, we try and pick the ones we think that are kind of going to be the most relevant to the broader Commander landscape, so that you can sort of know what a card is a little bit or expect to see it coming, and in addition, sort of know, this might go in my this, that, or the other thing deck. But there's a lot to talk about, so we should probably just jump right in.
Let's get into it with one of the hottest cards in the set. I think this is the one that we will see the most of. It is Black Widow, Agile Avenger. 1 red, a white for a 2/2 human spy hero. She's a legend with menace. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Black Widow, and you draw a card.
Yep, it is a Boros fairy mastermind, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this is. It doesn't have flash. It's one more expensive, and of course it's in 2 colors, and all of those are restricting in terms of what decks it can go in. But if we're looking for just a generic draw engine that goes in Boros decks that cares about having creatures or not having creatures, this card is going to be a threat in combat because of all the +1/+1 counters, and it's going to draw you a ton of cards in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, Fairy Mastermind basically can go in every blue deck. You may keep it out for flavor reasons or whatever, but in general, it is a card that's always in your best 63 cards. Black Widow's not quite as good, I agree. Also doesn't have that activated ability, which does come up once in a while. But Boros is pretty hard up for this kind of effect, whereas blue really is not. I've already played Black Widow in a number of decks, and I've been very happy with it every time that I've had it. So having seen it in play, I can vouch for the fact that it's very, very good. It will draw you a bunch of cards, and it will hit hard.
The biggest thing I wanted to mention here also is that this is under the 3 mana threshold, which in my white decks, I really care about if it's 3 mana. The difference between a 3 mana draw engine and a 4 mana draw engine that I can't bring back with Sun Titan or Savin's Reclamation or any of my recursion effects is huge.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because white often restricts hey, we can resurrect things often from the graveyard directly to the battlefield, but it says only small things, so only 2 power or less, or only 3 mana value or less. Yeah, that's a really great point.
It clears the line for being a recurable threat in white, which is awesome. So yeah, Black Widow, a slam dunk in basically any deck that plays Boros and doesn't play blue.
Yeah,
and that's
and even some of the ones with blue might want it if you're combat focused, because it definitely, in a Ledger Shredder sort of way, it is definitely later on in the game, if they didn't kill it, it's swinging in for 7, and it becomes an actual problem. Yeah,
absolutely.
right.
It is not the only Fairy Mastermind-esque effect in the set, so we're going to bring up the second one right away. This is King T'Challa with Black Panther on the back. So King T'Challa is a white and a blue. It has flash, and it's a 3/2, and it's a human noble hero. It says whenever a player draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. And then you pay 6 mana, and it flips into Black Panther Hope Enduring. For a white and a blue for a 3/3 with flash and double strike, prevent all damage that would be dealt to Black Panther, and whenever Black Panther deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So 2 draw engines in one 3 mana, 1 6 mana, 1 passive, 1 aggressive.
Yeah.
A few things to note about King T'Challa, I think right off the bat, is it says player. It doesn't care about opponents, so you can trigger yourself.
Yeah, it's a fairy mastermind, quote unquote, that triggers off your own second card that you draw. So yeah, which is a pretty big deal because you're, if you build your deck right, you're going to also be contributing to that.
Yeah, and it's something that you can actually contribute to. I think I've played with different playgroups that don't have as much card draw in their deck, so stuff like Fairy Mastermind is a little bit worse.
Yeah.
But King T'Challa is one that at least you can guarantee that you're always going to draw that second card, and with King T'Challa, a third card. I think most of the time we're expecting T'Challa to be the side that we're looking at, unless it's in the command zone and we're building around like a Black Panther type situation. But it could happen.
Yeah, you might flip it once in a while, but I would expect that, somewhere around 85, 90% of the time it's going to be on the King T'Challa side. But when you see an opportunity to flip it, you might do it.
Yeah. If you're not drawing a ton of cards with the front side and you're like, all right, I'm going to pay 6, I'm going to attack for 6, and I'm going to draw a couple cards there.
You drew your, sort of, and there's an opening, and you're like, yep, this is going to, have a pretty good effect here. It's got double strike, so you can get, you're going to get a decent chunk of damage. You might even see like, oh, I can go for the kill here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think those will be the instances. But yeah, I expect that it's going to be a card draw engine, very similar to Fairy Mastermind, most of the time by far. And it's going to be good at it.
There's a little bit more competition in these colors for card draw, so King T'Challa is going to be slightly less of a staple, I expect, but it's still going to show up in a lot of decks and it's going to do a lot of work.
Yeah, because your Azorius deck or anything that has blue-white probably already has Fairy Mastermind if it wants this, and King T'Challa's, while good, not quite as good as Fairy Mastermind. So
just one more mana,
you'll have to want a second of that effect, which you usually do. I'm usually like, I want 5 of those.
Yeah.
So I'm putting in the Ledger Shredders and everything that's kind of close, and this will fit somewhere on that hierarchy. Not sure where yet, but yeah, definitely going to be good.
Let's talk about the headliner for the set,
Yes.
the second in the cycle, the Mind Stone.
Yeah, so it's the second Infinity Stone, has caused a lot of discussion for a bunch of different reasons. The card is 1 and a white for a legendary artifact, Infinity Stone. It has indestructible. It taps for a white mana. You can pay 5 and a white, tap it, and harness the Mind Stone. So once it's harnessed, it gets the Infinity ability. And the Infinity ability is at the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 other target non-land permanent you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So a good old-fashioned Conjurer's Closet that it becomes. So it's a mana rock that kind of turns into, or a Thassa Deep Dwelling kind of deal. Soul Herder, we can name a lot of this. Obviously, inevitable comparisons to the Soul Stone, which it is in a cycle, clearly. There's some debate whether that means we're going to get, 3 or 4 more Marvel sets.
I mean, there's not a lot of debate, I would think.
I mean, yeah.
We'll see.
I don't think it's impossible they could do multiple Infinity Stones
That's true.
in a singular set. We're definitely getting the rest of them some way, shape, or form. But anyway, we know how they're structured now because of the Soul Stone. And we're both on record, Rachel, as saying we overestimated the Soul Stone, and it's been sort of worse in practice than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, the weird thing with the Soul Stone is it's so free. So you're like, yeah, the harness ability isn't great. Yeah, indestructible doesn't make like a big difference on the rock, but it is indestructible and it does have upside.
And the cost is low because it's a 2 mana rock, which you would already just sort of play those.
Yeah, so I found like where I've come down on the Soul Stone is if you have one, you probably have a deck for it.
Yeah.
There's probably an easy place for you to put into it, but I'm not running out and paying $60 for this.
The amount, it's definitely better than other 2 mana rocks often, depending on which one you're talking about, but the amount of percentage win equity you get out of it is so small. It's not like it's 0, but it's like 0.1% or something. So it's like not enough to be like, oh, that really improves my deck in a noticeable way to make it worth that dollar amount. If they were a quarter a piece, then yeah, you'd go buy a bunch of them, but they're not. And really the difference between your deck with a Soul Stone and mine without is almost imperceptible.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
just because, because Soul Stone, 7 mana to get it online, you just, I think I've seen that happen like maybe twice ever.
Yeah.
And each time it's been like, okay,
Yeah.
It took your whole turn to do that. If you just cast a 7-drop creature, it was about the same. And then like, you got the dream of like doing it over and over, but we know Commander game's almost over by the time you're doing that.
Yeah, and the big thing that like, I will say the Mind Stone's ability, I do think is a lot cheaper to activate. I mean, 6 is very different than 7,
Sure.
And you don't have to exile a creature. I found that like when I want to be activating the Soul Stone is not when I have a creature in play. It's when the board wipe just happened and I don't have any cards in my hand and I just want something to do. And so it doesn't like, if you don't have a creature, you have to cast a creature, then sack the creature you just cast to get another creature next turn. Just doesn't really make a ton of sense. Whereas at least the Mind Stone, if I'm like behind on board, I can activate it and play a creature. I have a chance to do that, but it is really expensive, and it's one of those things that I'm like, if given the choice between buying 1 Mind Stone for my Blink deck and buying 2 fetch lands for my Blink deck, I'm buying 2 fetch lands.
By a lot. Yeah, by a lot. That'll improve your win percentage. Still also not a huge amount, but like more than the Mind Stone.
Yeah,
I
and
believe.
It goes in more decks, and yeah.
Yeah, I want to be cautious not to fall into the same traps I fell in for the Soul Stone, but I do think the Mind Stone is sort of better where it's good. You know where it goes. You have to have enough ETB effects. So it's definitely not going to be even... again, you might still play it as an indestructible rock depending, but like it's not going to be that great in a deck that doesn't have a lot of ETB effects, right? Like you already just have to meet that bar. And then Soulstone is on upkeep, which is a big deal, I think, because you do the thing and then you still get around to your next turn where you get the creature and get the value out of it. And then even then, a lot of times you're like, okay, now I got to wait one more turn to even use that thing. Whereas Mind Stone is like, no, I'm going to activate it and this turn I will get the thing out of it, because you definitely won't activate if you don't have an ETB creature out. There's it does nothing, unless you're literally have nothing else to do, in which case you are just going to lose that game.
Worth noting, you can blink non-creature permanents with this one.
Sure.
Not can't blink lands, but you could blink mana rocks, or you could blink battles. I don't know, maybe you're crazy. Battles are sick. Blink battles. Blink planeswalkers.
Doesn't come up that often, so I guess that is a thing. But in general, you're not It is a little better, I believe. Like you said, lower mana costs, knowing when to like what decks it goes in, and then getting sort of not instant, but like much earlier usage out of it than a whole turn rotation.
I would also say that Indestructible in white is a little bit better than Indestructible in black. White has a lot more of like destroy all non-land permanents type of stuff. It has a lot more ways to like turn an artifact like this into a creature, or like do weird stuff with artifacts.
Affinity for artifacts is in white.
Yeah. So I would say that this card is set up to be a little bit more synergistic with the stuff it's doing, and it's a lot less like, it's a mana rock with a little bit of gravy, and could have some synergy where it's a meaningful upgrade in your deck, but it really does require those build arounds, like the ETB creatures, or you're doing some weird stuff with artifacts.
Yeah, that's a really great point about it just sort of fitting into white better than the black one fits into red, or black one fits into black, which is weird because recursion is what you think of in black, but artifact is not, and rock is not. I love that point. I still suspect that it will be relatively rare to see the Mind Stone get harnessed. It'll happen maybe a little more than the Soul Stone, but it's still going to be rare. Just because 6 mana is overpaying for that effect, because we know that effect kind of costs 4, sometimes 3. 5 is like, can't even really do anymore. So 6 is even one more than that. So it's like you'll be in tough straits if you're ever doing that. It won't be the thing you'll be having been wanting to do with your turn when you do it.
Right. That's the Mind Stone. I think if you open one sick, put it in a deck, and if you don't open one, I wouldn't run out and buy it unless you're really doing some Marvel flavor stuff.
Yeah, it's not worth chasing at the dollar amounts that they are. It just doesn't improve your deck by enough.
That being said, we have opened a fair amount of this Marvel product at this point, and opening these packs are really fun. And I'm not a Marvel person, so if you haven't, like if you're interested in opening this at all, you can support the show if you go to cardkingdom.com/command and get some sealed product or some singles. We're talking about a ton of cards in this episode that are going to be really powerful, are going to go right into your deck. Black Widow, King T'Challa already have spots in a couple of my decks. I just have to get the cards.
Yeah.
So if you're like me and you build a ton of decks, or when a new set comes out, you need a ton of things to upgrade your decks, you just make a list, you paste it into their deck builder. They'll give you all of the versions that they have in stock, all of the conditions and pricing. You pick it on one screen and then you're done. You don't have to compare all the shipping and the prices. It's all in one place, and you pay shipping once and it all shows up together. So you can do a big day of upgrading all of your decks. We love Card Kingdom. We trust them a lot. They've got a great team that takes care of you. So if you're looking for a reliable place to get Magic cards, check out cardkingdom.com/command.
And if you're cracking packs, there are some high value items in this set. The comic book cover,
We've seen some in
the main
person?
characters. Yeah, we've seen some in person. Look great. They've got a ton of value. You don't want those to get damaged in any way. Well, the game accessories brand we trust our own collections to here at the Command Zone is Ultra Pro. If you go to ultrapro.com/command, you can find sleeves, binders, deck boxes, stuff that will look awesome on your battlefield, but also really, really protect your game pieces, which is important if you pull like a special version of the Mind Stone or something like that. Yeah, you want to put it in a deck, but you don't want to get messed up in any way. Apex sleeves, and they've got the new Pro Gloss Eclipse sleeves
They're back.
that they've brought back with the Apex sleeve technology, which means they're even sturdier than they ever were. You know, I love the Apex sleeves. I love the Pro Gloss Eclipse sleeves. They have those amazing shuffle feel, and you just know you're going to use them forever. Like, I have decks that are in the very first like Apex sleeves that they ever came out with. They've been in for years now, never had to change them out, never had a single sleeve split or anything like that. Like, just very sturdy.
Did you see the new Eclipse sleeves? They're packaged in 20s.
Yeah.
So when you open the box, you can grab 2 of them and it's a limited deck, 3 of them it's a standard deck, and then the whole thing it's a commander
Great.
deck. So you're not like counting the sleeves out at the pre-release. They're really fun. That's my new favorite go-to, just like solid color sleeves.
Yeah, definitely check those out. So again, ultrapro.com/command.
Also, we are going to be at MagicCon Amsterdam.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
We're
so
going across the
excited. We're jumping the pond. We're bringing our cards. We're very excited. We've got game nights live on Friday as usual. Again, you don't need any extra tickets. You just need a badge that gets you onto the floor on Friday and you can come see the show. We've got some really incredible things planned for you, some good guests and an amazing show. So if you're going to be there on Friday, make sure that you come and see us. I believe badges are sold out at this point.
Yeah, badges for the entire event are sold out, so hopefully you already got yours. But yeah, I want to say the show's at 4 o'clock on Friday. That's July 17th. But you do need to show up early because the seating will just get packed and it's standing room only for sure. So just get there early to get a good seat. And I think we've announced the guest, which is Tomer from MTG Goldfish.
I'm so excited to have Tomer back.
Tomer builds really, really fun decks too, so it's going to be a really exciting one. Yeah, we'll be there the whole weekend too, doing meet and greets on Saturday and Sunday, looking for games. So even if you're not going to be there for the Game Nights Live show, which you should be, I don't want to discourage that. You should go to it. But also, if you just happen to get there Saturday, we're still going to be around. So come say hi, hang out, take a picture.
Yeah, and we're going to be in MagicCon Atlanta.
We are going to be in MagicCon Atlanta. Yeah, we're allowed to say it. We're allowed to say it. Yeah, and those badges are actually you can still get. And we know these shows sell out like way ahead of time. So I would say if you want to go to MagicCon Atlanta, which is in November, there's a link in our show notes, or there's probably a QR code on screen right now. Secure that badge like ASAP because, again, they do sell out. And our Game Nights Live show will be on Friday once again. So just make sure you're there for the Friday to see the Game Nights Live show. Atlanta's going to be great. And these shows just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, we've got some cool stuff planned, and we're looking forward to seeing you all in Atlanta again. If you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/command zone, join our community. You can get into our Discord. There's lots of cool perks for patrons. But let's get a move on. Of course, we have to shout out one lucky patron, which means this episode is dedicated to Jacob Heimer. Jacob, you rock.
You rock, Jacob. All right, let's get back to it here.
Okay.
This next one's interesting.
I think this card's cool.
Yeah, this next card's interesting. This is my kind of card because it's a one-mana cantrip kind of.
This is Asgardian Inspiration. A single red for a sorcery. Exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you may pay 2. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah, so this is a recurable, quote-unquote, cantrip. It impulse draws, so it's not straight card draw, but like those things are very comparable. So I think we would definitely put it in this sort of recurable cantrip category.
Yeah, this has some interesting things going on. Of course, non-combat damage could be a variety of things, impact tremors or Perforos or even like prodigal sorcerer type stuff.
Yep.
I think the most common that this will be paired with is stuff like Gutter Snipe.
Absolutely.
Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you deal damage, as that you're stringing it together into some kind of like big stormy turn that does a bunch of damage.
And this is definitely like a storm type card, as most like one mana instant and sorcery cantrips are. And the fact that this can be reused, that's a pretty good loop to get into with a Gutter Snipe out on a turn. You're kind of going off with like a Mana Geyser or a Jessica's Will or something. Now Asgardian Inspiration becomes...
Yeah, you have a Beergy in play that's giving you red every time you
Storm
cast
Kiln
it.
Artist or something like that. And often what happens is you need the card draw, the throughput because you're just like trying to spin wheels because the gutter snipe's going to do the damage work. And you're just like, and well, you know, you hit a land and then another land and you kind of get stopped up. And this allows you to be like, okay, cool. I'll cast this. This gets me going again. And then I can bring it back as I continue to cast more spells. So yeah, it's going to be really good in Stormy type decks. Like Torwaki the Younger is kind of mine. I currently have right now.
Be great in Torwaki.
Yeah, exactly. So Torwaki does the damage part, right? So
right. One of the best things to combine with it is just Urabrask, right? Because Urabrask deals 1 damage to target opponent and adds the red.
It's Bergie and Gutter Snipe all in one.
So now you're combining it with like the red you need to cast it. You just need to pay the 2 to buy it back from your graveyard, and it's pinging an opponent.
You only really need 1 to buy it back, kind of, because you're getting the 1 mana rebate from Urabrask already. So it's kind of like,
Yeah, so it's 3 mana altogether, so you still have to pay the 2.
You still have 2, but like,
But it gets really nasty when you can put it in that kind of loop situation. I think normally this is going to be a Storm type of card, but there's some neat tricks that you can do with this. Something I was thinking about is you don't need to buy it back right away.
Right.
So if you just cast this to hit a land drop, you hit the land, you play it, you don't have to pay the 2 to bring it back to your hand at that moment. If later you have a Gutter Snipe going and you're like, oh, actually I do want that cantrip back, you can buy it back then and start using it as a chain. You could even discard this to like a rummaging or looting effect. And then when you have a ping later, you could put it back into your hand. Have it be like a free card that you can discard sort of squee-like.
It's almost like a flashback card. And that's how those are often used with a looter or a rummager. I mean, Red runs so many like Thrill of Possibility type effects that this becomes a really good, just pitch it to that early in the game, knowing that you didn't really lose it, you can get it back at some point later.
Right.
That's a really good way to just kind of get extra card advantage out of this. Yeah. So that all adds up. And my big question is like, okay, Storm decks for sure. But is this effect kind of usable outside of that mold? I guess if you have enough rummaging and looting, do you just put it in? You know, I like deep analysis for that reason too. It's just a good discard, and then sometimes you do cast it, but it's kind of overcosted when you do it that way. Is this good enough that like outside of Storm decks we might still deploy it?
It feels like you definitely need non-combat damage on your commander if I'm going to consider it for another deck. So like Nekusar the Mindraiser or something like that is good, repeatable, incidental non-combat damage. That also has a lot of like incidental wheel effects that would throw this in the graveyard.
That's really good at Nekusar. Yeah, that's true.
It feels like there's a world that it could live in those kind of decks. I think that would be a big test to see like if it's good enough just as like a cantrip that you cast sometimes. Because 3 mana for 1 card isn't like a great rate, but if you can get other value out of it, I think that's really where you're looking.
Yeah, when I first looked at it, there's a card called Whispers of the Muse, which used to see more play than it does, and you don't see that often anymore. And it's in a similar mold where it's like, as you use it, you find that it's pretty narrow, the decks that can actually run it. But when you read it the first time, you're like, oh, I can just, you know, if nothing else is going on, this is infinite value or whatever. And it's like, the efficiency of it does matter. So 3 mana for 1 card is a little high. So I think you need enough other stuff going on to sort of justify that. But it's not a ton. You're right. Looting, rummaging, but you do need the non-combat damage. Like if
that you need.
If that's not really a part of your deck, if you're just attacking mostly for damage, then like it's you have to have the ability to get it back like pretty reliably.
Yeah. It could be interesting for something, I'm just thinking about this now, like the treasure decks that have the pingers when treasures enter.
Yeah.
There's a million of those
Reckless
things
Fireweaver
now.
and stuff like that.
Reckless Fireweaver type stuff.
Yeah.
Those tend to have a lot of mana, so having something like this as a mana sink is a possibility.
Yeah, it just becomes mostly a card draw engine there of like sometimes, if you know, sometimes my deck gets to the point where like it has plenty of mana but nothing to do with it. This could unbottleneck that for you. Yeah, that's cool.
It's interesting. I think it's a cool card.
All right, the next one up is another mono red card. It is Avengers Disassembled.
Took them apart.
1 red for a sorcery. Choose one or both. Avengers Disassembled deals 3 damage to each creature. And then the second thing you can either choose or also do is destroy target land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle.
This is interesting. You can do both.
Yep.
Which is a little weird, but like, I don't know. I feel like if you're casting the first one, the destroy, the deal 3 damage thing, then you're probably just firing it off on a command tower or something, even if there's not a great target.
At the very least, you just hit any dual land because it's like, well, you turn a land that taps for 2 colors into 1 color.
Yeah.
Kind of the worst case scenario. But also maybe you just hit their Nykthos or something.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people will just run out run out lands because land destruction or targeted land removal isn't super common.
Yeah.
But the fact that this is kind of incidental is nice. It's also a good basic check if you're playing against a lot of Josh Lee Quest, who doesn't play that many basics.
You might hit me and I'm like, I don't have a basic. And then you just stone rain me.
And you're like, no.
Plus the wrath. Yeah. I think though the land destruction part of this is like bad enough that I don't think that you can run it for that. That has to be like, yes, it'll incidentally I will do that. But that's not really the reason it's there. You have to be thinking of this in terms of like, I want 3 damage on every creature. That's good for me generally.
Right.
Which means I'm not playing a ton of loaded up creatures, or like my commander just happens to have 4 toughness. That's a really good spot. And I don't know about you, Rachel, but I've been gravitating more towards this type of effect recently.
I have.
In the last couple of years because, you know, as Commander sort of evolves and, you know, inevitable power creep, we've been talking about games getting faster. That usually means just more things deployed earlier, which means it's a lot of like smaller creatures than it used to be. So you can just like catch people and just get like a 5 or 6 for 1 sometimes. So I've been running Brotherhood's End, Sweltering Suns. Those are sort of my 2 favorite of the bunch. There's a whole slew of these though. There's Anger of the Gods and a couple others. I usually don't go up to run more than 2. In fact, sometimes it's only 1, but I used to put 0. For me, the question then becomes, where does this fit in? Is this better than the other 2 to where? Because I don't think I'm running 3 of them.
No.
To where it's worth running.
I don't like it more than Brotherhood's End. I think Brotherhood's End is the top right now.
Because that Destroy All Artifacts
Destroy All Artifacts is like pretty nasty.
Yeah, sometimes you just look around and you're like, I'm going to get a Soul Ring, an Arcane Signet, and then...
like 2 treasures, and I will take that. So that flexibility, I think, goes a long way. And the fact that, like, you're not necessarily going to fire off Avengers Disassembled just to destroy a land. You could if there's like an emergency one, but it's not a great choice for that. It's more of an incidental. That's the gravy on this card.
Right.
But like if I'm playing a big stompy deck, like I put a couple of these 3 damage sweepers in Raph and Mikey when I played it for game nights.
Perfect deck.
And it's great in Raph and Mikey where you want only big creatures. So...
yeah, so you're like ramping early turns.
Yeah.
While they're putting creatures out on the board, you don't even have anything yet because you don't get going till turn 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And you're just like, cool, I'll just kill everything. And that actually buys you the time to get to your high-end stuff anyway. Yeah, it's great. It's
super, super tidy in decks like those. And like we said, there's just so many little creatures like the Fairy Masterminds and the Professional Vase Breakers and even early Ledger Shredders that just haven't been triggered yet. Answering all of these cards in the early game is not something that people expect yet and can absolutely devastate a curve.
Esper Sentinels and like there's so many. And you keep hands counting on them a lot of times, right? Like I kept a low land hand because I have an Esper Sentinel or whatever,
And it's like commanders have gotten cheaper, so there's a lot more like 2-mana and 3-mana commanders running around that you can sweep those up in this and then buy you time to cast your 5-mana commander right when they're casting their 2-mana commander, and now you're in a good spot because they paid 5 mana for their 3-mana commander, you paid 5 mana for your 5-mana commander.
Yeah, absolutely.
So these kind of
and your deck was built with that sequencing in mind. Theirs was built with like, it's supposed to be out when I do these other things. So it often like crams them up like a lot more.
I do think I would play this as my second to Brotherhood's End. I do really like, I've been playing some amount of Fiery Confluence as well. I think that's a good flexible one, but the difference between 3 and 4 mana is a pretty big deal in terms of when it fits into the curve, especially in a deck like the Raph and Mikey deck I played where I would want to be like, all right, I cast a Nature's Lore and then I cast this. And now I've like used this turn and set everybody back in a really nice way.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think I'd put it in second after Brotherhood's End. I think I will end up playing this card.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's going to bump Sweltering Suns off the list for me. I've cycled it once in a while. Because I play a lot of instant speed stuff, but most decks aren't. The cycling almost doesn't matter. So I would say if people aren't playing these deal 3 to everything sweepers, you should start looking at your decks and which ones can run them because they will just make your game so much easier sometimes. They don't end people's games, but they're such a speed bump for some decks that that you just sometimes do it and like 2 of the other 3 opponents are just like, ugh.
Yep.
It's 2 more turns now for me to even get back in this.
If you're used to getting run over by your opponent's decks, you have slightly slower decks, these are great adjustments that you can make to slow them down, especially because a lot of the faster decks are running a lot of mana creatures that get swept up in this thing. It's a great speed bump.
They spend their first couple turns like setting up their birds.
Like if they do
Ornithopters of Paradise.
Llanowar Elves into Commander, you cast this, their game is over. That's brutal.
Badgermobile Don't come see it.
Oof, gone. Try again. Yeah, they feel really good. I think that it's worth taking a look at them. Avengers Disassembled, Brotherhood's End, or any of the other ones.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to this next one. It is Dora Milaje Elite. Milage Elite. I don't know. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I don't know the pronunciation.
This is 1 in white for a 2/2 creature, human warrior with first strike. When this creature enters, if an opponent controls more lands than you, create a tapped Vibranium token. So Vibranium tokens are basically indestructible power stones. It's an artifact with indestructible and taps to add colorless. The mana can't be spent to cast a non-artifact spell. So it can be used to activate abilities. It can be used to cast artifact spells. It can be used for basically those things. It is a strict upgrade on a power stone, yeah. And then it says sacrifice this creature, legendary permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn, which is great protection.
Yeah.
Because it protects your commander, who's the the belle of the ball.
Yeah,
is what
it's
I was
kind of a selfless
say.
spirit that comes with the Power Stone.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this card and I was like trying to figure out if this is if it takes up the ramp card spot or if it takes up the protection spot. And the nice thing is that it kind of does both, but it is a little bit worse on both ends. So like if you compare it to Knight of the White Orchid, that's a 2/2 with first strike that comes in and gets a plains if you're behind. You'd rather have a plains than a power stone in 95% of decks, probably. But you don't have that late game protection effect where Knight of the White Orchid is a little bit more dead.
Yeah, I think you have to have enough of the usage for the Power Stone, but it doesn't have to be a ton. You don't have to be a pure artifact deck. Obviously, if you are, this becomes really good because artifact count matters there.
Yeah.
And then it can cast like most of your spells. But we play Selfless Spirit and it doesn't even have the ramp part of it at all. So I think you don't need to justify the Power Stone that much. Like, you know, if there's like 12, 15 cards in your deck, maybe even 10, that like Power Stone could be used for, and you would otherwise like a Selfless Spirit like effect, then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, this is kind of a little bit better than the Selfless Spirit there, just because the gravy of the Power Stone is worth something.
Yeah. Would you put it in a deck that's like all legendary creatures but only has like 10 artifacts?
Yeah, I think so. I think 10 is is a high enough. Yeah, and you get the legendary.
Then you get to protect more things because most of your permanents are legendary, but the Power Stone's a little bit worse.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think weighing the two things and how usable they both are makes this card pretty good. Like if you can use the Power Stone every turn, then I think this card's a slam dunk.
Amazing.
It should probably replace certainly your Knight of the White Orchids and Loyal Warhounds and
a lot of white decks have, you know, way more than 15 cards this will affect with activated abilities too.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like casting equipment, equipping equipment, activating abilities on lands.
Yeah.
Like this, you can tap it to activate a Nykthos kind of thing.
Activate just ability on creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah. The legendary creature thing is really important to note here. I've been saying Selfless Spirit as a shorthand, but it does do all your creatures, which this does.
Legendary permanents.
Oh yeah, legendary permanents. Oh yeah, okay, that's interesting. Not doesn't matter a ton, but yeah.
Yeah, but
it might once in a while. Yeah.
Your
just happen to have a legendary.
It protects
artifact.
your Great Henge.
Sure. Yeah,
it matters. So it has some sort of interesting upsides that'll have to be weighed in your individual deck. Like maybe I'll try it in my legendary matters deck. Maybe I'll look at it in my artifact deck. I think it should probably be one of those two things.
It's 100% in an artifact deck.
Yeah.
And it probably 100%. Is 100% in a legendary matters deck.
I would think so.
Like, yeah, if you're leaning hard towards either one of those things. It's the rest of the decks that are like somewhere in the middle where you just sort of have to like case by case be like, how many legends do I have? How many artifacts or other ways to use this mana do I have? And then you add it up and kind of make the judgment call.
And in those decks, it's going to feel really cool. Yeah. Selfless Spirit is a great card, as are Knight of the White Orchid type effects in white.
Yeah, we see those a ton.
All right, we have lots more powerful cards to get to this episode. Let us know which cards you think are the number one chase cards in terms of power level in the comments below. Again, this set is huge. So if there's one that you think that we missed, we want to see it. We want to hear about it.
We want somebody to have mentioned it in the comments.
Gosh. So let us know in the comments below. We have to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Stop the presses! The name's Denry Klin, Editor-in-Chief, New Capenna Times. Now, I'm a newsman, but I'm also a magic card. And you know where you don't see many magic cards? Newspapers. No, if you want the latest MTG news, you need to be on the Reddit app. I use it so much, I'm changing my title to Redditor-in-Chief. My go-to subreddit is r/MagicTCG, where I get first strike at all the latest MTG stories, spoilers, and controversy. Plus, when preview season rolls around, r/MagicTCG has the scoop on all the new cards, so you won't end up scooping at your pre-release. No matter your spec special interest, there's a subreddit out there with your name on it. TV shows, sports, gaming, Reddit's got it all. Why, it's practically the internet's front page for gaming news. Heck, the moment I get hooked on a new video game, I join the subreddit so I can stay vigilant about strategies, builds, and loadouts from real players who are just as invested as I am. But my favorite thing of all on Reddit, you guessed it, photos of cats. Reddit loves cats, and I love Reddit. Okay, start the presses again. I gotta stop saying stop the presses so much. I'm losing valuable time here.
Magic is about the gathering, and Reddit is where players gather. Download the Reddit app and dive into r/MagicTCG for the latest gaming updates. Download the Reddit app today.
All right, I will cast Dan.
Memory lapse, put it back on top of the deck.
Yeah, well, I will cast a second Dan.
No.
Oh, nice. I love Dan. That OG artwork is so fun.
Yeah, we're just getting pumped for the new Drew Tucker Kickstarter. He's the artist behind Dan itself, and he's working with Original Magic Art to put out a limited time exclusive collection of playmats and tokens in his own distinct art style.
I'm excited for the Forgetful Fish booster pack. It's got 10 unique alt art Dan tokens ready to sleeve up and play.
Wait, so I can use them as the Dan in my Dan deck?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
You can also get an OG Dan art playmat that's individually signed and numbered. It's a unique Magic collectible, so you can play Dan on Dan. There's even a 2-player Dan mat and more goodies.
They've also got a token set with a bunch of stuff Commander players need all the time. And I really like the look of these. There's some dark and brooding ones like the Clue and Treasure, and then some total goofballs like the Beast and Dragon.
There's 30 tokens and 3 playmats to start, but as the campaign hits stretch goals, backers can vote to add more. And there's some other neat rewards on there too, like uncut token sheets and premium art prints, including, of course, Dan.
So I can have Dan on my wall while I play alt art Dan on my Dan mat?
Exactly. But it's a limited time thing, so make your pledge now to get your Dan while you can, man.
Ah, sounds like a plan for any Dan fan.
Yeah?
Too much?
No, that was good. No, it was good. Go to tinyurl.com/DrewTuckerOMA to grab your Dan tokens, plus more classic Magic art and accessories.
That's tinyurl.com/DrewTuckerOMA, or click the link in the description below.
I definitely need the signed playmat to go along with these signed Arabian Nights Dan-Dans.
Nice flex.
Thank you.
Rise and shine, Lurgoyf lovers! It's me, Disa the Restless. Or now, Disa the Restful! You see, taming Tarmogoyfs takes a lot of energy. Easy there, Terry! And I just wasn't getting enough sleep on my old, uncomfortable mattress. I tried counting card types in graveyards, but I'd run out at 9. That's when I got my Aurora Lux cooling mattress from Brooklyn Bedding. And now I sleep like a baby Baragoyf, and baby Barry sleeps great. Their cooling foam feels like an ice age. It keeps me dozing all night long. Plus, their commitment to back health means I wake up ready for an active day corralling Cosmogoyfs. No! Stay out of orbit, Carrie! They've got mattresses for every body type and sleep style. And with a 120-night comfort trial and hassle-free returns, you've got no reason not to try it. Thanks to Brooklyn Bedding, I can throw my dingy old mattress into the graveyard. Hey, it counts as an artifact in there. Whoa, these Lurgoyfs are getting huge. Calm down, Larry.
Go to brooklynbedding.com and use promo code COMMAND at checkout to get 30% off site-wide as part of the 4th of July sale. That's brooklynbedding.com and promo code COMMAND for 30% off site-wide. This is a limited time offer not available anywhere else. Again, brooklynbedding.com, promo code COMMAND.
You know what my favorite thing is about ARCHIDEKT? How easy it is to build decks. When I'm brewing for game nights, my first draft comes together super fast, because I can drag and drop cards straight from EDH Rec or Scryfall. And ARCHIDEKT even sorts them into categories like ramp or card draw automatically, but I can always add new ones or move things around based on my strategy. It's quick, intuitive, and it just makes deck building fun.
ARCHIDEKT is the best place to browse, brew, and playtest Commander decks. Just go to archidekt.com/command zone to get started.
That's ARCHIDEKT.com/command zone.
All right, we are back. We are moving on. This is a cool one. There's a new land cycle in this set. Does the cycle have a name yet?
Not that I've
Marvel
seen.
Lands?
Maybe today we name them.
And I name them the most boring name ever. But for now, they're called the Marvel Lands. All right. Yeah. So they're all templated the same. Let's start with Dark Fortress here, which is a land. You can tap it to add colorless or diamond mana to your mana pool. But it also has a second ability, which is tap, add black or red, but activate only if this land entered this turn or if you control a basic land. Mm-hmm. These should be called anti-Josh lands.
So they're kind of like the Verge lands, where like the Verge land checks if you have one of a certain type and gives you one, but if you have that type, you get the other one. This is default colorless, and you get both if you have a basic.
Yeah. And it does importantly, though, have that clause of like, if it entered this turn, you can tap it for color, even if you don't have the basic, which I do think is kind of a big deal. Just because at least you get one colored use out of it, which we've all been in those games where like, I just need an untapped land, I just need an untapped land, I just need an untapped land. You draw it and you're like, it is an untapped land, but it only taps for the wrong color or no color at all.
Right.
And this is like, at least in that situation, I'll give you the color one turn.
So these are untapped dual lands that are fairly easy to meet the stipulation. Obviously, they're not fetchable.
Not very high. Yeah, the non-fetchable part, I think, is what'll kind of keep this from us being like, these are insane.
Yeah. But they're like, it feels like they're very comparable to check lands.
Yeah.
So like Sulphur Falls, like if you have a island or mountain, it comes in untapped.
Yeah.
Would you rather have an untapped land that taps for colorless or a tapped land that taps for both default, I guess, is a way to think about these.
Yeah.
Like if you're not meeting the stipulation for Sulphur Falls, it comes in tapped. If you're not meeting the stipulation for the Marvel lands, it comes in untapped, but it taps for colorless. Yeah. Well, the turn you play it, obviously.
I think I would rather have, it's close. I think I would rather have the untapped land generally. I think that's going to be more helpful to me most of the time, especially because I can turn this on later. So, I can even do the thing where I have a basic land in hand, but it's the wrong color. I play this, get the color I need right now. The next turn, play the basic land, and didn't really miss a step. So, and I also have the chance to draw the basic land.
Right.
And we've all been in those situations. It's very common in games to just be kind of trying to draw to just hit your land drop. Well, you can still do that, but you did hit your land drop. You're just trying to turn this thing fully on. And a lot of times that's also fine because it's like, okay, I'd rather play this than that, but it did give me an extra mana, and so at least I'm staying with my curve here. Yeah, so I think in general, but it might be that you want a mix of the two things rather than just all of one. I think I would prefer it. How about you? What do you like? How do you weigh it?
I think the Marvel lands are better budget lands for sure. Because if you have a bunch of tap lands in your deck and you're playing on a budget,
likely to have more basics.
You're likely to have more basics. That also helps. But your tap lands aren't necessarily typed. Where I feel like if you're playing an expensive mana base, your tap lands are usually Triomes or they're Surveil lands. So your check lands can come in untapped. But if you're playing a bunch of tap lands and then you have this check land, it's a very awkward sequencing. I've had this issue in precons all the time where you'll play tapped land and you'll have this check land and you're like, I really want a basic to play before that, but I need the second red, so I'm playing it like it's a tapped land because I just need it to be untapped at the right time.
Right.
So it can lead to some very weird sequencing.
Yeah,
this
whereas
feels like
you're full of shocks, triomes, and surveil lands, that meeting the other criteria of having a swamp is not that hard.
Yeah, you're not really worried about that, and you're probably running fewer basics because you have a more expensive mana base. So it feels like these are going to be stronger combined with a bunch of tap lands. So if you have like gain lands in your deck, that kind of thing, these are always going to come in untapped for you, and you're going to have a decent amount of basics to hit that stipulation, which makes them, I think, really cool lands. I hope they're budget. They're definitely named like they can be reprinted, which is nice. Dark Fortress, Gathering Place, Gleaming Bastion. These are things that
they
can
call
show
it like
up.
Avengers headquarters.
Exactly. Yeah. These can show up in other precons. They can show up in other universes beyond. So it's a land that I hope we get to see a lot of, and I hope they become like the standard for basic or for precon mana bases because I think they're great in that environment in particular.
Another thing I would just mention here is that the green ones are going to be better than the other ones because green is so good at finding you basics.
Yep, that's true.
And you're likely to run more basics in the green decks anyway. And then white maybe after that just because it does find planes, which kind of matters. And I would consider that as part of like not just how many basics I have in my deck, how many ways do I have to find basics, which would also be in there. So if you have Wayfarer's Bauble and some other stuff. How many basic lands do you think you need in a deck to consider running these?
I mean, if you're searching them up, then a lot fewer. But
if you have fetch lands too.
Fetch lands or even like Rampant Growth or anything like that. Obviously, those sort of count as basic lands. I don't know. I probably like 20 ways to find them combined with them. So fetch lands would count.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be that high. I think it could probably be more like a dozen to 15.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing 15 basics and 5 ways to find them, I feel like a Wayfarer's Bauble and a cycling land that finds islands or something like that. Like all of those would hit 20, and I think you'd be just fine. And like you said, like the punishment for not having a basic isn't that high, especially in the early game because you can just use it.
But if I had a 5-color deck, I don't think I'm running 5 of these because they don't stack up very well. So I'm probably, running 1 to 2 at most. And also 5-color decks just have trouble running a ton of basics anyway.
Basics,
so I think this sort of, in a weird way, the more colors you have in your deck, the kind of worse these get in that way.
These are great 2-color lands, for sure. If you're playing 2 colors.
Yeah, because you're going to have 15, 16 basics.
3 colors, it's still probably fine. If you're playing above that, I don't think this would make the cut in terms of cycles that I'm looking at. But cool lands.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to this next card. This card's great.
This card's good.
It is Falcon and Redwing. 2 and a white for a 1/2 human bird hero with flying. Whenever Falcon and Redwing deal combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying, then put a +1/+1 counter on Falcon and Redwing. So
the whole package all by itself.
3 mana to cast. First time you hit, you deal 1, you get a bird, you put a +1 counter on it. Second time you hit, you deal 2, you get 2 birds, you put a +1 counter on it. And that's without any additional synergy there.
3 times 3 birds, get a +1/+1 counter.
The fact that they're flying is like, this is such an efficient rate for such powerful tokens. Having flying jump blockers is endlessly useful in Commander.
Block all day. And then, you get enough of them, you just kill people with them.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like, okay, well, I also know that I can swing out with all my flyers because when this hits, I'm going to make 3 or 4 more flying blockers. So it allows you to be more of a front-footed deck because it knows you're going to be able to defend yourself.
Yeah, you think for 3 mana, like how many 1/1 flyers per turn do I need to be happy with that? And we know at 2 Bitter Blossom we play like crazy, and we're happy with 1 at 2. 3 we're probably happy with like some like 1.2 or something, some fraction. And you think, well, the second time I've hit with this, I've gotten 1.5 birds per turn. And the third time I've hit with it, I've gotten 2 birds per turn. And the fourth time I've hit with it, I've gotten almost 3 birds per turn. And that's insane.
Yeah, that's way too many birds.
So if you're happy with the second hit of this, which you are, that seems very modest. It seems doable. So a lot of times you look at these cards and you're like, yeah, it seems cool, but like you break it down and you're like, you have to have this for 4 turns before you're happy. And you're like, oh, that sucks. Yeah. This is like, no, the second time I hit with it, I'm happy. Everything after that's gravy. And by the way, the gravy just gets better and better.
It's a little bit slow. I mean, you cast it, the next turn you hit, you make 1 bird, third turn you hit, you make your second. But like, if you can enhance this in any way,
that's
we're talking
the other part of this,
1+1/+1 counter. This clock is unbelievable.
Yeah. Just put a sword on it, and all of a sudden you're like,
anything.
Oh my god.
Yeah. If this thing gets 1 bigger the first time it hits, you make 2 birds, and you're like, I'm cooking. I don't know. Like he's unstoppable.
Yeah. Or if you just go hardened scales, hit the first time, that'll do it too.
Yeah.
Like the next time's gonna be 3, then the next time's gonna be 5. Like it's pretty good. But what I love about it is you don't need that stuff either. Like this is fine if you just play it on turn 3 or even turn 2. Like it will be the snowball rolling downhill. Like it doesn't need other pieces. The other pieces will force multiply it.
Yeah, I think a decent comp is Krenko 10 Street Kingpin.
Yeah.
Which this card is like sneaky playable. It shows up in a lot of decks in ways that I was like, how are you ever going to attack with a 2/3 and expect it to survive? It's never a 2/3 when it attacks. It's always bigger. And Krenko doesn't fly. So like and his tokens are worse. His tokens are on the ground. Yeah, I mean, I just think Falcon and Redwing are so impressive in any deck that wants this effect.
Well, and it's good in both token decks and 1/1 counter decks.
Right.
And white loves token decks and loves +1/+1 counter decks. So it's like going to be great in both of those spots, which is just makes up a large percentage of decks that have white in them anyway.
You know what this is great with is Anthem effects.
Oh yeah, Anthem effects are amazing. Yeah. One of the cards I put down was Flowering of the White Tree, which is insane with this thing because it pumps not only Falcon and Redwing, but also the birds that it makes. And gives it ward. Like, the first time you hit, you make 3 birds that are 2/2s. Like, yeah, you
put down Rosy Cotton with this, and I was like, gross.
Yeah.
Whenever you make a token, you put +1 counters on a creature that isn't Rosy. So you're like, you hit, you make a bird, you put a +1 counter on it. Rosy sees the bird, puts another +1 counter on it. Now next turn, you make like 5 birds or something.
And then that makes it 5 bigger, which means that if it's around for the third hit, they lose.
Yeah, you're just toast. I really like cards like this that either stress out people's targeted removal,
Yes.
where they're like, well, I can't swords at all. So this sort of, in a way, either protects your commander or protects your other pieces because it is a must-answer threat.
That's when I say something's a package all by itself, why that's so important, because they can't pick it apart by like, oh, like, because a lot of times you can find one piece on their board, you remove it, it turns off 2 or 3 things. This is like, no, you have to kill this because by itself it will do the thing. And then, yeah, maybe they kill it, but that means they didn't kill something else of yours. And yeah, if you ever kind of, it's like in chess where you try to get them where like they're in check from a thing that is protected, so they go to kill the thing and
lose something.
And so they can't kill the thing with the king, right? So it's kind of the same deal. Yeah, I love cards that are low on the curve that act in that way because they are pseudo protection and they put them in really hard situations where like, yeah, you can use removal on that, and then, but it's not even that important to me, right? Like, it is just a thing that will do that is its own engine, but it's not like the win condition of my deck. It just fits in well with how what my deck's doing.
This is the kind of card I love to put into my decks because people will look at my deck list and be like, well, what's your win condition? And I was like, I don't know, figure it out.
Yeah.
If I have this long enough, if I have this long enough, it'll kill people. If I have that long enough, it'll probably kill people. You start putting these pieces together that are just really powerful on their own and they feel really great. But yeah, I mean, we're talking token doublers, double strike, counter doublers.
Double strike, yeah, is really good because you get you put the counter, then you hit the second time. So yeah, on the first hit with double strike, you would get 3 birds, and it would be 4 power or 3 power at the end of that too.
Yeah, I mean, extra combats. There's anything that scales up this ability a little bit makes this a very serious threat that needs to be answered. So Falcon and Redwing, really fun, really cool. It doesn't even feel overpowered because it feels like it's really solid on its own. And then if you do one thing, it's like, oh no.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about downside. I think the card does have downside. So one of the downsides is you draw it late.
Yeah.
So it gets a lot worse past like turn 5, I'd say. Not unusable, but the game is unlikely to continue long enough from that point for the birds to make as much of an impact. So you really do want to have it down on turn 3 or 4, I'd say, at the latest in general. Not that there won't be games that go long enough where this does make that much of a difference.
I do love this right after a board wipe.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody casts a board wipe and you play this, you're like...
And maybe you're the one that casts a board wipe because of that. Like, okay, I can do that and deploy this, and now I'm sitting in a good spot. Yeah, it's not always bad late in the game. It's just generally going to be worse.
Cool card. It's also 3 mana, which matters in white.
There you go, Sun Titan.
Sun Titan. Let's talk about this next card. This card's sweet.
Okay, this is Hex Magic, 2 and a red for a sorcery that has Arcane, for when that matters. Exile all cards from your hand, then draw that many cards. Until the end of your next turn, you may play cards exiled this way. So a little confusing maybe when you hear it read out that way. What happens is you take your current hand, you exile it, you wheel, you draw that many cards. But until the end of your next turn, the cards that you wheeled away, you still have access to. They are the cards that you exiled. So if you've ever been in that situation where you're like, I'd like to wheel, but I do like these 2 cards in my hand, this kind of says, okay, you could still cast those cards either the remainder of this turn or on your next turn before you lose access to them.
In fact, this card is best before you cast the cards you want to cast.
Kind of, yeah.
You are never playing this spell before playing your land drop. Or excuse me, you're never playing this spell after you've played your land drop because you want to keep the card in your hand to draw an additional one and then can play it right.
Right. You sometimes will, but that'll be a mistake.
Yeah, but
we've all done that where we're like, no, why'd I play my land?
I'm so dumb.
Yeah. Like things from exile.
Yeah, because basically you want to keep as many cards in hand that you can deploy in the next 2 turns to exile them and then draw your hand.
Yeah, but your best case scenario for this is you don't play any of the new cards you drew. You only play cards that you already had in your hand for the next 2 turns to get maximum value. Yeah.
I've played Invasion of Call Time, which is this effect for 1 more mana on battle. And I put it in decks that are not trying to flip the battle. Like, they're like, I can, I guess. But I found this effect to be sneaky great because what it essentially does is in red doubles your hand size.
Yeah.
Obviously, it gives you a little bit of a clock on it, but the fact that it gives you this turn and the next turn, I usually end up losing like a land, because I had 3 lands in my hand or something like that. So I can't deploy all of them. So I found these effects to feel really, really good and feel good in red that has a tough time putting a lot more cards in its hand, where it's like I can put like 2 extra cards in my hand, I can like do some selection, but I have a tough time actually growing my hand size. And Hex Magic is like, can make that happen if you can line it up right.
Yeah, I was hesitant about this because in general I don't like this effect unless it's on an instant. So like Valakut Awakening I like and that kind of stuff, or the ones that are sorceries but they guarantee draw you back up to 7 or whatever.
Right.
So like Shattered Perception is a card that I played around with for a while in the early days of Commander and was just never happy with it. But I do think this clause of like you can play the exile cards until your next turn like changes the calculus by quite a lot. And so yeah, I see this being like a card we're going to see a ton. I think this is going to be like very good in most red decks.
Yeah, I think it's particularly good in Storm decks too,
Yeah,
which we've already talked about. But like any deck that has like a big turn or a really low curve that can deploy a lot of spells during one time is going to feel really good with Hex Magic. And of course, if you're doing Cast from Exile synergies where your curve is naturally low because you're doing a lot of this stuff already, it's going to feel really powerful. So I think we're going to see a lot of it. I like that it's an uncommon because
it's not going to be super expensive.
It feels very stapley and also feels very reprintable with the name being Hex Magic.
For sure. And with it having Arcane, you can splice onto it.
Yeah,
Which
you
we're always,
splice,
everyone's going to do.
Which I certainly know what it is and how to do it.
It certainly comes up a lot, like obviously.
All right, we've got this next card is Invisible Force Field. 1 and a white for an instant. Up to 4 target permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. And it has Rebound. Weird. Rebound on board protection is very interesting to me.
Yeah, it's weird. Do they expect that like you're going to get an attack in because of it, and you're going to want to be able to those creatures not to die?
Maybe. Yeah, I mean that's only really relevant to me in a deck that has like damage triggers or attack triggers, but most of those decks are sort of prepared to attack. So it's the Rebound is one that I'm not really sure is going to show up a lot. But
I mean, I do know how you're supposed to use that.
Yeah.
But people won't like it.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to use it offensively, right? So this is a spell that you can, because white has a lot of this. People don't tend to do it, but you can protect your board and then destroy all non-land permanents with something, right?
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and that's just a thing you can do, but people don't tend to like it. And the problem with that is it's pretty mana intensive because you have to cast a board wipe and another spell on the same turn. This says, no, you can do it at the end step before your turn, get the Rebound, and what you're really doing is just deferring the cost of it and making cost 2 less. So now, untap, Rebound, protect my best 4 things, board wipe, destroy all non-land permanents. Now I've got 4 things, everybody has nothing. I mean, honestly, the correct way to use it, correct, quote unquote, the most powerful way to use it is Armageddon.
Oh, yeah.
Protect my 4 lands. Yeah, protect my 4 lands. And again, no one will do that, but that is a way to use cards like this.
That's pretty.
And honestly, like a arguably better way, because I don't like the limited form of protection, especially considering that like indestructible by itself without hexproof is just a lot less useful because, won't help you against bounce, won't help you against exile. And those are, people know indestructible exists. The reason that Heroic Intervention is so good is the hexproof. They go to remove one thing, you also get to use it there. This doesn't have that part of it.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I think a lot of players, if you ask them to choose between indestructible and hexproof, a lot of people would pick indestructible because it feels more powerful. But I would pick hexproof every single time.
It will work every time.
Just better against
the
bounce.
Indestructible will often be like looking at it, being like,
it's bad against board wipes, but like you're gonna lose a lot of stuff to a board wipe anyway. So like, obviously the combination is best. Like if I was gonna choose between Invisible Force Field and Dawn's Truce, of course I would pick Dawn's Truce because I get the hexproof and the indestructible. So I think the only time that Invisible Force Field is sort of tipping itself into being in that top 3 or 4 of the protection spells is when you're using it offensively. You're combining it with board wipes. You're combining it with land destruction. Sure, go nuts.
Rachel Weeks told me.
So,
I'm not.
Tell your table first, of course.
Tell them that's a thing you can do.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not
Don't
advocating.
surprise people with board wipe.
I'm not advocating doing it. I'm just saying that is the objectively most powerful way to deploy this. Yeah.
It's so it's interesting. I think it sits in kind of a weird spot because if you're using it in response to a board wipe to protect a bunch of stuff, then the rebound is less strong. But if you're using it aggressively to combine it with your own board wipe, then like the initial cast is less strong. So it's just the rebound doesn't add a ton to it is sort of what I mean.
Yeah, it's true. I get why they have it only protect 4 things. Obviously, I know what the Fantastic Four are, but that is also like quite a downside. Like when there just are things available at the same mana cost that protect all of it. So it's like, why would I want only 4? The rebound doesn't add enough, like you said. So to me, this is it's weird. You would think it protects you against board wipes, but I actually think you look at your decks that have white and say, oh, does it have a lot of board wipes? Then put this in.
Right. Yeah, that's Invisible Force Field. I think it's not cracking the list for me, but...
All right, the next one is Iron Man Bleeding Edge. It is 3 blue for a 3/5 legendary artifact creature. Human hero has flying. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may copy it, except the copy isn't legendary. Do this only once each turn.
Okay, they made an Undo Spirit Dancer for artifacts. Yep. We've had a couple of things that sort of do this, but it's always, you've got to pay 2, or like Mendicant Core Guidelight, you've got to get to max speed, or Jin Gataxias costs 7 mana, and also makes the entire table turn against you.
Yeah.
So
this probably should too, though.
It probably should. This is a very powerful effect that I'm sort of surprised that we don't have on a card yet. So it makes sense that it's here now.
Yep.
The legendary thing is a big deal.
Yeah, big deal, for sure.
Because there's a lot of really powerful legendary artifacts that you can copy with this thing. And honestly, like, it doesn't really matter what you're copying, it's just kind of good in artifact decks. Like, I think you want to be copying an artifact every turn that this thing's on the battlefield, regardless of what it is, because you're not going to have it long.
Yeah, no one's going to put up with this because it absolutely creates too much value. Yeah. I mean, it's copying things, it's non-legendary copying things, and there's no additional mana cost to do those things. So it's pretty obvious where you put it. Do you have a lot of artifacts in your deck? Is it in blue? Then yeah, you play this.
Then there it goes.
Gets a little better if you have like Urza's Battlethopter, things that allow you to play at flash speed, so you can once per turn, that means multiple turns. And I think the goal of deploying this is deploy it, cast something same turn, immediately get a copy, so that if they get rid of Iron Man, you've gotten something out of it. Yeah. So I think that's also the way you want to sequence your plays with this. Big thing I want to mention that I always mention with these things is when you copy a spell, you are creating a copy of a spell on the stack that becomes a token. You are not creating a token. So this doesn't work well with token doublers. This doesn't work well with anything that cares about like casting artifacts. It just creates a copy of the spell and it becomes a token. Yeah. So you don't Anointed Procession get another copy of the copy. Yeah.
It's great with Populate though, if you're copying creatures.
Yeah. And, blue is often in the situation because they've got the Saheelis and all kinds of stuff, which is like, if you have one good token, I'll make more of that.
Oh, such a Brutaclad card.
Yep.
Such a Brutaclad card.
Yeah.
Iron Man's really sweet. It'll show up in artifact decks.
This next one's very sweet, though.
Oh my gosh. It's Ironheart, Clever Champion, 4 and a blue for a legendary artifact creature human hero. She's a 3/4 with Improvise and Flying. And it says non-creature spells you cast have Improvise.
So Improvise is, of course, your artifacts can help cast the spell. Each artifact you tap after you're done activating mana abilities pays for 1 generic.
You cannot use Improvise to pay for colored mana.
Right.
That is the only restriction. But
let's say you have like a Clue and a Treasure. This would only cost 3 to put out, and then you can use that Clue and Treasure and whatever else you've got to cast any non-creature spells once Ironheart's on the battlefield.
This card's pretty nuts. I think the first thing that you think of is Inspiring Statuary, which says non-artifact spells you cast have Improvise. This card is 3 mana. It's very powerful.
Yeah, Inspiring Statuary, extraordinarily powerful, but I love the design of it because it has this nice tension, which is that you want to cast non-artifact spells, but only the artifacts help cast those spells. So your deck is like this weird like split. You're trying to come up with the perfect like balance between, well, I need artifacts to use the improvised part, but then those artifacts that I can't cast with the improvised part.
Right.
Ironheart does not have that same tension.
When artifacts?
Yeah, so you just cast artifacts to help you cast more artifacts. As long as they're not creatures.
We can keep going.
Yeah, that is like a little bit nuts.
And artifacts don't have colored pips.
Yep.
So you can get in this situation where you're like, okay, I'm casting an artifact. That artifact makes a token when it enters. So now I have 2 artifacts. I can tap those 2 to cast a signet. And that's it. Like, you can just cast a bunch of things all in one turn, have this big snowbally turn where you've just dumped your hand.
Yeah, and you fill the battlefield up and everyone's just looking at your board being like, how come I can't see their playmat, but all I ever can see everybody else's?
Yeah. You're like, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. What are you worried about?
Yeah, I put this will be good in decks that have a low creature count and a lot of non-creature artifacts.
Yes.
Or create a lot of treasure, food, clue, blood, vibranium, what is the mutant or the
Power Stone? What
new one
the
from Turtles?
Junk. Mutagen.
I knew it had muta in it.
Yeah.
If you create a lot of the stuff, junk's another good scrap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you create a lot of crap, this is probably good. I definitely was thinking about this and I was like, oh, it can help you cast like all these things in your hand. And then I was like, or just like one really big X spell.
Yeah.
Like if you can cast Expropriate with your artifacts done. Like, or you could cast a more fun spell. You
Stroke
could
of Genius.
pick that. Sure. Yeah.
That's fun.
But
You can kill
yeah,
people with Stroke of Genius.
the idea that you can like make all these artifacts and then suddenly turn all of them into mana. It's sort of like a blue Jaheira where it just turns all of your tokens into mana.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that makes those decks so powerful is when they have a ton of stuff, now all this stuff is real stuff.
Yeah. And the stuff gets more stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really
And it has improvise and flying.
Yeah.
Why does it fly?
Why does it have improvise?
It should be it shouldn't have improvise.
Because that's the problem with this. Once you get it going, you cast this and then maybe for one, and then you immediately start doing the thing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty serious. This is a card that we will see in artifact decks, of course.
Yeah, for sure. If you're like I said, it's pretty low bar. There are a lot of decks out there that have a lot of non-creature artifacts in them. This goes in there.
The other thing I wanted to mention is like casting non-creature permanents that make artifacts when you cast artifacts.
Yeah.
This thing gets really good. So like Mirrodin, Besieged, or Efficient Construction, both of them are like when you cast artifacts, you make more artifacts. Those tend to be in decks like this. They're usually like Psymaster Thopterus, so maybe you pivot things a little bit more toward the non-creature side if this is A, your commander, yikes, or B, in the 99. But that just means you now have this like weird Burgee effect.
Kind of.
That is also making Thopters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just end up with a big board of, random artifacts that you turn into a win somehow.
Yeah. A super powerful card, going to see a ton of play.
I think this will be a powerful deck on its own right, too. I mean, that deck is just going to be all artifacts that make multiple artifacts, and then it'll just cast them.
And draw engines, and that's it.
And like 5 or 6, like, whatever, Phyrexian Portal.
Portal to Phyrexia.
Portal to Phyrexia. And
Probably
like,
not Phyrexian Portal.
Phyrexian Portal. Not very good. Portal to Phyrexia. And like, whatever the 5 or 6 big...
Yeah, like the
payoffs. So it's like, okay, now that I can improvise everything and I have
the 10 rings that draws you back up to 10
Yeah,
cards.
that's a great one. Yeah, you just boom. And that's what that deck will be, and it'll be really good.
Yep. Super sweet deck. Definitely scary if you see it on the other side of the board. Does she have 4 toughness? Sure does.
Yep. You can't even disassemble Avengers Disassemble her.
She's 5 mana.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
That's true. Oh, she's not 5 mana though. You ain't gonna pay 5 ever. All right. The next one is Jennifer Walters / the Sensational She-Hulk. So Jennifer Walters is the front side, 1 and a white for a legendary creature, human advisor hero. She's a 2/3. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, and then you can pay 6 mana, 3 green, white, and transform into the Sensational She-Hulk, which is 6/6. Oh, sorry. It costs 3 green, white if you wanted to cast that outside first. It's a 6/6 Gamma Hero Legendary, Reach Trample. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, and also, whenever a creature you control is dealt damage, you may have a Sensational She-Hulk deal that much damage to any target. Do this only once each turn.
Aha. This is a cool card. I mean, I think the thing we're going to see the most is the friend side. As Jennifer Walters is a Grand Abolisher type effect, which are always very, very powerful and popular in Commander because they protect your turn. I like these kind of effects best in Voltron decks or high-risk decks like Aura decks where you just need to be like, nobody mess this up.
I know when I go to do this, I don't want to have to worry about a removal spell shooting the creature out from under it.
Yeah. The only thing I have to worry about is Ottawara. Dora.
in decks where you find yourself going like, I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah.
Then you should put this type of effect in those decks.
They help you go for it. Equipment decks, aura decks, Voltron decks, combo decks, those kind of things. Or
extra combat decks.
Yeah, super powerful decks tend to play a lot.
Yeah, because I'm going to
these.
try and combo off this turn, so I'm trying to just turn off your ability to mess with it.
So I think that's the big thing to keep in mind with this card, and it is a very powerful version of that. I did want to talk about this backside because it is kind of interesting. It protects your turn and obviously is a big threat. But whenever a creature you control is dealt damage, you may have the Sensational She-Hulk deal that much damage to any target. Do this only once each turn. So this is like if you attack with a whole bunch of stuff, you make it very difficult for your opponents to block, especially block in a way that is free for them, because then you're dealing a ton of damage to your stuff and can start using this to like pick off creatures or go face. They can't block with their big stuff because then they risk dying or losing their big stuff. So it's just sort of an interesting evasion type of tool.
Yeah, it's going to be annoying to face for sure.
Yeah, and I think that upside is a meaningful upside in certain decks that want to play this type of thing.
Yeah, and this type of effect, it's not unreasonable to put at that mana cost because we know like Dragonlord Dromoka sees a decent amount of play. I will say Dragonlord Dromoka itself is not counterable, which is a big part of that equation, but still at around that mana cost in these colors, we see similar thing being played. So it's not crazy to play it on the She-Hulk side. Yeah,
and the like damage throwing around thing is pretty real and can turn into like, okay, if you block my 1/1 with this big thing, I'll kill that.
Yeah.
Is a very reasonable play pattern that you can politic with, or that you can, use to punch through with a whole bunch of creatures.
That's true. It's once each turn, so you can play this attack with something, they block, you deal the damage over there, and then you're just also sitting there being like, hey, on your turn, if I block, then I do something
I can throw more damage around. So it's definitely something that you can use politically and has some interesting, like, don't just look at the front side, is what I mean. Yeah,
it's not nothing.
Nothing. But let's move on. Speaking
this
of political.
One is also not nothing. I like this card a lot.
Yeah.
All right, this is Kang Dynasty. It is a saga for 3 and a blue. Chapter 1 and 2 are the same. They are for each opponent, tap up to one target creature that player controls, goad those creatures until your next turn. Whenever any of those creatures deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And then, so that's the first 2 chapters. And then chapter 3 is target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each card in your hand and can't be blocked this turn.
This card's nasty.
Very cool.
I mean, if you think about like the floor on this thing, it's goad 3 creatures, draw up to 3 cards.
Yeah.
If they have double strike,
well,
draw
the
more
floor
than
is
that.
not draw 3 cards,
Yeah,
draw
yeah,
0.
yeah.
But yeah,
it's up to.
It's hard to imagine you're not drawing at least 1 card off of each, hopefully more, but like at least 1. They have to attack, and you're choosing the 3 most scary things, 1 from each opponent probably.
Yeah, and
you have to for each.
You do put them in a weird position where it's like, okay, you have to attack with that thing, and your opponents either block it to prevent me from getting card draw, or take the damage and I get a card draw.
Yeah.
And I'm usually okay if players are blocking goaded creatures. Turns it into removal spells.
Yeah.
It can be very inconvenient.
Yeah, no, I love this, and honestly, like I was comparing it to Disrupt Decorum. I think it's a little bit, it's better because it happens 2 turns in a row. And Disrupt Decorum, the dream is people have a lot of stuff when you do it, but honestly, like most of the time, it's quite rare that people have more than 1 creature you really care about. It's often like, I don't want that thing hitting me, I don't want that thing hitting me. And that's like the whole, there's other stuff on the board, but those are the important things. And this is like, I get the important stuff and I do it twice. And the card draw, geez, it's just a lot.
The thing that's really interesting about it that I was thinking about, so Disrupt Decorum goads everything.
Yeah.
Whole board. Kang taps 3 things.
Opens the door for the attacks.
Yes. So it sort of flips the order that it's negative in. Like if you get Disrupt Decorumed, it's worst to go first.
Yeah.
Because all the gates are up.
Yeah.
And your
gates are going to be down.
And your gates are down.
Yeah.
So they're going to be coming your way. So you're like, okay, I'm forced to attack. I'm going to rebuild the best I can to not die to my opponents now that I've tapped all my creatures down. Kang Dynasty is sort of the opposite because the doors get opened up and then you have to attack with your goated thing. But hypothetically, they've tapped their biggest creatures because those are the ones they don't want attacking them and can probably find a free attack off that. And if they are looking for free attacks, then you draw a card. Sweet.
Yeah, and that third mode, I normally don't care that much because it's so long down the road. But what I like about Kang Dynasty is like it buys you the time that you'll probably get to the third mode because there's just a lot of scenarios where it will just be hard for you to die with 2 goads in a row like this. Just like taking the best thing, pointing them at each other. They all have to worry like, if there's 2 scary things, they might have to use a removal on so they don't get hit by it. All of a sudden they start. It's funny how goad works, where like even though they know you're doing it, it does still turn them against each other.
You didn't have to attack me. You could have attacked them.
Or even then, it's like, it doesn't matter if you want to do it. You are going to do it. I have to do this. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. The downside of goad, and this one has it in a big way, is as players get knocked out, these cards get worse. So that's just a thing to think about. It's not like... If you played a lot of goad decks, you draw the Disrupt Decorum and it's 1v1, you're like, crap.
That doesn't do anything.
It's a totally dead card, so.
Yeah, at least this one taps some stuff down.
That's true.
So it can do something in the early games.
If they do hit you, you will draw cards with that card, right? It's a two-way player.
To a player, yeah.
So, yeah, so you can still make it so like you
do draw a card.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's a super interesting card. I think I'm more likely to fire this off on turn 4 than I am with Disrupt Decorum, where I usually hold until things get kind of dicey, because you're just like, I'll control the next 2 turns and draw some cards. The worst scenario there is there's like a board wipe.
Yeah.
And that's the worst that can happen. But
you'll feel very safe because, I would love to play a card like this on turn 4 because in my mind, I'm like, so I basically can count on still being here by turn 6.
Right, Yeah, super cool card. I will be putting in a lot of decks.
I like it. And we didn't even talk about, like, it is harder for blue to manipulate sagas, but there are ways, right? You can bounce it back to your hand.
Yeah, blue's good at, like, removing counters.
Yeah, you might be able to blink it.
Proliferating.
Yeah, so... Proliferating not as good. You could do the goat thing twice.
Goad 6 creatures drop. Just draw up to draw 2 cards per creature hitting.
Next turn, whenever any of those creatures. So this would
those creatures. Okay, so you don't draw 2 per. You just draw the 1 per creature. But still, it's also harder for blue to goad. Red is good at goading. Blue is slightly has a little bit more trouble with it. So it feels like it's in a good spot in blue.
All right,
let's move on to Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. This is 3 and a black for a legendary creature human villain. He's a 3/6 with Menace. Whenever you sacrifice Kingpin or another creature, create 2 treasure tokens. This ability triggers only once each turn.
Wilson Fisk thick.
Seriously, I mean, we knew that. That was apparent.
Yeah.
But 3/6 for a 4-mana creature is like,
with Menace?
Jesus.
They were like, what else can we put on this thing?
So it's a Pitiless Plunderer type effect.
This is the inevitable comparison because the mana cost is the exact same. Pitiless Plunderer and a card that is very powerful, and we see quite a bit. But there are some notable differences.
Yeah, a few limitations. Obviously, Kingpin's bigger than Pitiless Plunderer.
3/6 versus a 1/4.
Whenever a creature dies, you make 1 treasure is Pitiless Plunderer. So Kingpin gives you 2 treasures, limits it to only once per turn, and cares if that creature was sacrificed.
Yeah, so like on a board wipe, you won't get a bunch of treasures like you will for Pitiless Plunderer.
Right.
Which is a pretty big deal. And also if you get into your Aristocrat's sacrifice loops, you're not going to get more than 2 treasures. Depending. You can pull some tricks where maybe you blink or recur Kingpin to get more, but it's harder.
Yeah, Pitiless Plunderer has several combos that it goes sort of nuts with. Chatterfang, I think, is the most like commander iconic one. Kingpin can't do that because of the once per turn. But the fact that you get 2 treasures does make a big difference. Because like I find when you have Pitiless Plunderer, sacking 2 creatures to get 2 treasures is like...
You really want to do it if you're like actively going off.
Yeah, if you're comboing. Where this is like, I could sacrifice a creature, get my sacrifice triggers this turn, get 2 treasures, and I'm only down like 1 token. That is a pretty big difference if you're not the kind of aristocrat or kind of artifact deck that's trying to like combo off all in one turn.
You're trying to aristocrat storm or whatever.
Yeah.
Arista storm.
Arista
we'll work on the
storm.
copy,
Stormistocats. Nope, crats. That's Aristocats. That's different. Nope, there's an R in there. But it's interesting because they're very comparable. I feel like on a regular turn, Pitiless Plunderer and Kingpin will probably make you equal numbers of treasures, if not Kingpin making you more.
Yeah, the board wipe protection is like quite a bit worse. One thing I have used Pitiless Plunderer is just like my board's pretty big. I'm going to stick this out there and it just makes it a little harder to board wipe.
Yeah, easier for you to rebuild.
I've even looked around and just like, I'm going to board wipe.
Sure.
because I'm going to end up with like 7 treasure at the end of this, and they won't have that, which Kingpin doesn't really do. Interestingly, this is an interesting thing. I always think about it because I don't play Pitiless Plunder that much anymore because it's too strong where it's good. It's not like it's always strong, but like it tends to create infinite combos that you weren't planning for, and it's just not the type of Magic that I like to play.
It feels like it's too bad if you're not comboing off, and too good if you are.
Yeah. So if you're doing Aristocrat stuff, you add a Pitiless Plunder into the mix of what you're doing, and it force multiplies it too much, and now you have these turns that are like either infinite or like just
long
outside of what bracket 3 should really be doing or feels good against those power level decks. So in a way, I like Kingpin because it will give me access to this card at a power level that feels like it was more likely to fit into my bracket 3 decks because it has guardrails already on it.
Right.
So
but it
like,
still feels good enough that like getting 2 treasures is much better than getting
absolutely
one treasure.
good. Yeah, and you might get more. You could do it on your turn and the next turn and the next turn. It's a little bit slower, but you're just not comboing off in the same way. And I would, at my power level decks that I normally play, that's going to feel a lot better.
Yeah, the cards that I was thinking of that are just great with this is like your Ophiomancers or even the new Pest Rescuer that make you a token every single turn. So it gives you something free to sacrifice. As long as you have a free sack outlet, you can make 8 treasures in a turn rotation. Seems very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
instead
cool
of
card.
Scrap Trawler, KCI, crazy stuff with Pitiless Plunder where you're like, yeah, this is not really.
Right. Yeah. This is above and beyond. Yeah, Kingpin, very cool card. Let's move on to this next card. Oh yeah. Loki, God of Mischief.
Man, another 2-drop blue card that's going to draw you a lot of cards.
1 and a blue for 2/1 legendary god sorcerer villain. Whenever a player or a permanent becomes the target of an ability you control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn.
So whenever you commit a crime, draw a card?
Well, whenever you commit a crime with an ability, you draw a card. But also when you target your own stuff, you draw a card. If you blink one of your own things, if you equip an equipment,
Lightning Greaves.
it only triggers once per turn. Mercifully, thank goodness. What if they were just like, oops, Nadu again?
I just bout my Lightning Greaves back and forth and draw my deck. Yeah.
We forgot about Lightning Greaves between the printings.
Yeah, they
didn't. They
remembered.
They got it.
They remembered.
But this card's really sweet. It feels really flexible. I feel like if your commander targets, you're just like, yeah.
Just 1 free card, right?
Yeah, I mean, Miss Bumbleflower is kind of sweet.
That's the first thing I thought of because it's so good. Because you're targeting your own stuff and you're often targeting their stuff, and you can, put 1/1 counter on their creatures to draw the card if you want to.
It's also whenever target opponent draws a card, so it triggers right away when you target the opponent.
Target an opponent.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
So you'll draw a card on the first cast for Miss Bumbleflower. I was thinking about it with Alayla too. Is kind of fun. You can only draw 1 because Alayla is only on your turn, but when you hit and you goad the creature, you draw a card there.
That's really nice. Yeah. How many ways to target stuff do you think you need in your deck before this is good? And I think the commander's outside of that because the commander is the thing you always have access to. So if your commander does it, I think this is probably already good enough.
Yeah. But if your commander doesn't do it, I would want like, I don't know, 25 probably.
Which is, it feels like quite a lot.
Yeah.
So now we're down to
or like more permanent based type stuff. Like if I have 15 equipment or something like that, then I'm like, good
because I only need one of
around.
Those.
Yeah,
ostensibly bouncing it back and forth. Yeah, that's a good point.
Whereas if I'm playing like it's incredible, Skull Clamp, gross.
3 the first time.
Really good in blink, really good in equipment, really good in crime, and that's sort of it'll draw you cards.
Yep, those blue and the 2-drops. What is it with blue and 2-drops?
They're getting younger all the time.
All right, the next one is Loki's Scepter, which is 2 and a red for a legendary artifact. When Loki's Scepter enters, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. Until end of turn, it becomes a villain in addition to its other types and gains haste. And then it also taps to add 1 mana of any color. So the big comparison here is Cursed Mirror, which does a similar thing. It's a 3 mana rock that becomes a copy of target creature until end of turn and gains haste. This threaten effects. So it's like the Kiki copy of something kind of. I guess it's not a token copy. Or the Zealous Conscripts effect.
Yeah, they look very similar and they're good with not totally different stuff, but Loki Scepter is a threat and effect, which is obviously very good with sacrifice effects. Anytime, like if you're in a red aristocrats deck that plays a lot of sacrifice outlets, I could absolutely see running this just to be like, my mana rock is now a removal spell.
Yep.
That's great.
That's pretty great. Yeah. Also,
tidy,
usually deals a little damage on the way.
Yeah, like that feels like enough synergy that I'm starting to think about this card. But it goes really nuts when you get into the decks where Curse Mirror is really good, which is decks that can manipulate their artifacts in and out of the graveyard.
Yeah, so if you got Goblin Welder, Goblin Engineer type stuff, so because this is crazy, if you play it, sack it, recur it, steal 3 creatures in the same turn. Now you're like, maybe I sack those, but maybe I also just kill people with those.
Yeah, maybe I just use it as a mini insurrection.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In the meantime, it's tapping for mana and like benefiting you in the sack outlet. Yeah.
That's where I think we mostly are going to see it. I think it's probably worse than Cursed Mirror unless you're able to do that stuff specifically. I think if you're just maybe sack outlet decks, Aristocrats, Rakdos decks, then it's probably good enough. So those are the 2 places, I guess I would say.
The other thing I was thinking about that makes it a little bit worse in the Goblin Weldery style decks is the legendariness of it all. Copying artifacts has become a big part of copying strategies. A little bit less in the red decks that are like looping them because they have other ways to copy them, but
if you're making temporary copies, though,
you still steal the
it's still pretty good. You steal the thing and then you just sack it, and it's like, I didn't get the mana. But Could you? Can you tap it first?
No, you don't get a moment between.
You get the ETB, but not the
Yeah, you simply must choose. So it can do some really cool, weird stuff.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little niche, but somebody at some point is going to do something like, steal the whole board with this. I'm gonna be like, that's cool.
That was cool. That was really neat.
You had to work hard to do that, but also it's a 3 mana rock, so the cost of putting it in your deck was not that high.
Yeah, I also like three mana rocks are less of a cost if you have a 5 mana commander where it fits nicely into the curve and you can play like a good solid 2-drop, or if you have a 2 mana commander and it fits nicely after the curve. So those are another situation where you feel more justified in putting it into your deck. Like if I had a 3 mana commander it was a Rakdos sacrifice deck, I would struggle a little bit more to put this in there.
It's way harder.
Because it just feels weird in those early turns.
I also like to just try and bump my 1-drop count in decks that have 3 mana rocks because it's just way more hurtful when... Hurtful? It's disrespectful.
I'm hurt.
It's disrespectful. It just feels really bad. It's like when you play a 2 mana rock and don't use the 1 mana from it, it doesn't feel even close to as bad as when you play a 3 mana rock and aren't able to use the mana for it.
Especially
or if you go Loki Scepter, a Goblin Welder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're set up for a very cool turn. The other thing I wanted to mention is it does give it haste, which obviously we think of with threat and effects, but there's worlds where you could play Loki Scepter to give your Goblin Engineer or Goblin Welder haste.
Yeah.
To activate it and like start moving things around.
Absolutely. That's a trick with Zealous Conscripts that you use sometimes. It's not as niche as you think.
Yeah.
Your own thing haste.
I've also seen stuff like people do that with Cursed Mirror, so it still has that trick up its sleeve, which is cool.
Which makes it a little bit of a better draw late too. Cursed Mirror, that's one of the reasons it's good is because it's good late when they have big scary stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit worse than Cursed Mirror, but still going to feel kind of similar. You still get to steal the big dragon and attack with it, and then hopefully sack it.
You don't get the ETBs, which, that's a pretty big downside, but yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Oh, this one's messed up. That's another messed up uncommon.
How did they not put once per turn on this one?
I don't understand.
I was like, wait, we know that. They put it on a lot of stuff now.
Yeah, Mr. Fantastic, what are you doing?
Not to put the only once per turn on this, which I question that decision. Let's see.
I agree. I mean, Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. This is 3 in a blue for a 2/4 with reach. He's a human, scientist, hero, and a legendary creature. Whenever 1 or more tokens you control enter, you may draw a card.
Not only once per turn, just anytime you make.
And it's a May. Take the May off.
At least make them.
At least make them do it. If they're doing Locust God shenanigans,
make them die.
Then they die.
Yeah. Actually, that's a really good point.
That's cool.
If you took the May off, then you actually get rid of an infinite combo.
Yeah.
Because, it obviously goes infinite with Locust God. There's also, what's the Lord of the Rings one?
Watcher in the Water.
Watcher in the Water, if it's not your turn. That's a really good idea to take off the May.
Yeah, just don't be a chicken.
Yeah.
You're gonna draw like
Just commit to it then.
yeah, like
Don't be a chicken.
the thing I was thinking about was with like Smothering Tithe. It's so annoying because anytime you draw a card, they make a token and then draw a card.
Oh, God.
And it's just like, that's insane. That's already nuts. And Smothering Tithe is already an annoying card. So at least if it didn't say May, you could be like, all right, I draw 20 cards. I make 20 tokens. You draw 20. Like,
Yeah,
we're going
I'll
to
make you
then
kill,
let's
make
go.
kill you. Yeah, that would have been sweet.
But you don't have to. It says May.
I mean, it's obviously very, very good.
It's really good.
Because, token decks are already good. So this
It's not limited to creature tokens even.
No.
Like clues, food, junk. We've listed all these already. Those, again.
There's just so many decks that's what they do.
Yeah.
And this just says, that thing you're doing, guess what? You get to draw cards while you're doing it.
Yeah. This is a very powerful card, obviously. If you're making tokens, and that's what your deck do, you're looking at Mr. Fantastic for sure. Yes, you can combo off with Locust God and Watcher in the Water. If it's not on your turn, you can make infinite tokens and draw your entire deck. That seems pretty sweet. But even if you just have stuff like the Cabbage Merchant, that's whenever an opponent casts a non-creature, you make a token, then draw a card. That's a very strong engine.
Yeah, there's a bunch of commanders that make tokens that just adds to Akeem, the Soaring Wind's a good one. If you have Nadir Kraken in your deck, I mean, we're not going to run down every token making card, but like...
You made a good point, though, because Mr. Fantastic doesn't care about if you make a ton of tokens. If you make like 12 tokens all at once, you still only draw one card. You really want effects that make, like when you do something, make a token. So something like Akeem is actually really perfect because it's when you make a token, you make another token. So it's 2 instances of tokens.
Yeah.
Draw 2 cards off.
Not make 2, cool. Which would only draw you 1.
Right.
Yeah. But I think it's still probably good in your deck if you're just making a lot of tokens in general. Like, oh no, all of my cards make 2 tokens at once. That's still fine.
I'm glad it's an uncommon. I think it's going to be an expensive uncommon. So, check your bulk. It's going to be good.
Jamie Block's going to buy a lot of that card because all his decks are token decks.
Yeah. We're gonna see lots of it.
Yeah.
We're going to see lots of it. All right. On to the next one.
This is a cool card too. It is Mole Man, Moloid Master. 2 and a green for a 1/1 legendary creature, human villain. You may play lands from your graveyard. And then it has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, create a 1/1 green minion creature token named Moloid. That creature has whenever this token attacks, you mill a card. You may mill a card.
Yes. Don't make them have it.
Yeah. So they made one extra layer, right? You have to attack with the token, and then it doesn't have play an extra land per turn, but otherwise it's Ice Till.
Yeah, it's not quite Ice Till, but it's pretty good.
Close.
I mean,
for 1 less mana.
This card is incredible with fetch lands. The idea that you can play a fetch land, make a token, play another, crack the fetch land, make another token. Now you've paid 3 mana, gotten 3 bodies.
And where's that fetch land?
In your graveyard.
Oh, what are you going to do next turn?
Again.
Yeah, exactly. And then, the 1/1s mill you, which is really, really good, right? Because you're just putting stuff in there, not just lands that you can play, but also that's what green decks generally are just cool, I'll get that back later.
Yep. It's also incredible with stuff like Sidisi Brood Tyrant in my deck that cares about instances of mill, because anytime these tokens attack, you mill 1 card. Yes, so you can check, did I get one in that one? Did I get one in that one? And it's better than doing big chunks of mill. So, I mean, this card is obviously really powerful in graveyard decks, really powerful in land decks. We know where these tend to go.
Pretty good with Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic.
Ew.
Yeah.
No.
Rip Ramonak Excavator, though.
Right? Can we have a moment? Because... he was the guy.
Yeah, no more. You needs more text. Sorry.
He doesn't even have 4 toughness.
There's nothing. Yeah.
There's no reason to play him over Ice Till or Mole Man or anything. He lost his spot in the Vintage Cube this year, and
he's never coming back.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ramonak Excavator. You
were good.
We lost you too early.
Yeah.
We hardly knew you.
Yeah. We've had since.
It's funny, Ice Till comes along. If Ice Till wasn't existed, we'd be like, whoa.
And we're like, well, it's not Ice Till, thank God.
Yeah, but that just shows how good Ice Till is. Because
right.
Moman's very good.
He's
It's another like all-in-one package card.
Yeah, you have to answer that threat. It's just too much.
Yeah, it doesn't need anything else going on it to do the thing.
All right. This next one also makes tokens. It's Royal Talon Fighter Jet. X white for an artifact vehicle. It's a 1/1 with flying, and the vehicle enters with X +1 counters on it. And whenever this vehicle enters or attacks, create a number of 1/1 white soldier creature tokens equal to the number of +1 counters on it. This is a very good little card. Again, it is everything you kind of need in one box. Like you pay 4 mana, you make enough of the, soldiers? Enough of the soldiers that you need to crew it on the next turn.
And then you make more.
Then you make more.
Yep.
Yeah, and the more mana you have, obviously the more soldiers you make immediately and the more you have to crew. I was thinking about this card and I was like, this might be one of the X spells that I just dump all my mana into that turn and be like, deal with this.
Yeah, you either kill this or I'm making 10 soldiers every turn and you'll die to that.
Yeah.
And there's not a ton of cards that deal with this and the soldiers that it made too. So like worst case scenario, they're like, we do deal with that and you're cool, but I still have the soldiers.
Yeah. Or if you deal with all the soldiers, I still have the thing that makes more soldiers.
Exactly. Then I just play a creature, or if I didn't already have one, crew it, do that again, and you're in the same spot you're in. You have to kill this.
Right. You have to answer the vehicle, which is difficult.
Anybody that's played Shurikai as their commander knows it's hard to kill vehicles.
It's annoying. You have to have an artifact removal spell because if they think it's in danger, they just won't attack with it.
Yeah.
But this is definitely a card that you're like, every single turn I have it in play, I'm attacking with it. I'm making as many bodies as I can because I know it is going to be removed because it must be. But the fact that like this can't be answered in a board wipe is such a huge deal.
Yep.
Where you're like, oh, you made all these tokens. Well, shoot, we need to answer the board. But also, if we don't answer that, nothing has changed.
Yeah, board wipe is,
pretty soft against this.
Yeah, because you just go creature, crew, attack. You're in the same spot you were just in. You got another board wipe. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it quite a bit. And we play cards that just do this one time and cost 1 less mana than this.
Yep.
So it's like, for 1 extra mana, would you like to just be able to keep casting that spell, quote unquote? Yeah, I would actually. That's fine.
Not to mention, you can cast this with Improvise, with Ironheart.
Oh my gosh. Well, also, I was going to say the 1/1 counters don't have to be put there by this spell's casting.
Yes.
So in a 1/1 counters deck, you could get more counters onto this. So you could cast it for 4, like you're saying. And it's like, okay, they're only going to make 2. And then the move they make is like crew it, put, 5 more counters on it, attack, and it's like, oh crap.
Yeah,
so
now we're in trouble.
It's a lot bigger of a problem than I thought it was that I could see. So that it also has that upside, which is cool.
Yeah, cool card.
I like the design on it quite a bit, actually.
I agree.
And it doesn't feel broken, but it feels quite good.
But it does feel strong.
Yeah.
All right, this next one is Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. 1 and a green for a 2/2 legendary creature, human warrior hero. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste, and then tap, add 2 mana of any one color. Spend this mana only to activate abilities of creature sources.
Only activate abilities of creature sources. Pretty restricted.
Pretty restricted. An interesting thing about this is he does give himself haste.
Yeah.
So if you have a way to spend it, he's effectively free, which is really good. So obviously they had to restrict the mana in a pretty major way.
There's not a lot of creatures, and it's only activate abilities of creature sources, so you can't even activate abilities of non-creatures. It restricts it quite a bit. So it's very specific, the decks that will go in, and for the most part, I think your commander's going to want to have an activated ability that that requires mana. While we're talking about this, I do want to call out that Jimmy was actually the one that got to preview this card at the Marvel Red Carpet event that we went to.
Yeah, he got all dressed up.
Yeah, he was dressed up like Shang-Chi as well. Yeah,
it's
it was very
cool.
Yeah.
This is a neat card. It's definitely like, do you have activated abilities of creature sources that need mana? Then you would consider Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I looked at the top 100 commanders on EDH Rec, and only 12 of them had an activated ability that required a mana in some way. So I think it's not that common, but it's not complete. It's not like you never run into it. Yeah.
Is there a chance that you run this just for the haste?
I think it's probably not good enough just for the haste, right? Like we want our haste things to be on anger or something that's like harder to remove. Yeah. I think you just need like 20
activated
things
abilities
that aren't your commander, which is that's going to be also very rare to have that amount. Yeah. So I think it pretty much is restricted to, does your commander have an activated ability which costs mana? But then this becomes quite good.
Then this is going to be
a commander haste. It feeds into the commander. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool card. All right.
Next card also cool.
New Silver Surfer with Scott Fisher art.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed.
Silver Surfer Cosmic Voyager. 4 blue for a 5/5 legendary creature alien hero. Has flash. Has flying. When Silver Surfer enters, exile any number of other target permanents you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. If a land enters this way, it enters tapped.
Thank God.
Thank God for that last part.
Yeah, gee whiz.
Because you can exile lands, which is kind of nuts.
Kind of nuts.
They don't let you do that very often.
No, for good reason. There's a lot of neat things to talk about with this card. I think the baseline is like you could use this as board protection.
Yeah.
I don't think that you're putting it in your deck for board protection, but it is an option that it has.
Yep. Because you just hold up the mana. If you don't, if somebody goes to remove your whole board, you're like, cool, blink it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the other cool thing is it has this Yorion effect where it can blink your entire board, which is really nice in blink decks because it concentrates and maximizes your blink spells.
Yeah, if you've got 3 ETB creatures, this gets you value for all 3 of them rather than just 1, right?
Not to mention blinking all of your like mana rocks and untapping all of those in the process.
Yeah, it can provide a bunch of extra mana when you do it. Anybody that's played around with Displacer Kitten or Brago knows like, oh crap, if they got a Gilded Lotus, this gets way worse.
Something else I was thinking about was it's good with the impending creatures that you can cheat into play smaller, exile them,
cool.
bring them back as their
Right.
as their regular creature form. So it can do some weird stuff. Like the enduring creatures are the same. If they become an enchantment, you can blink them back as
because we have relatively
form.
few tools to blink certain card types.
Yes.
Ghostly Flicker is good for the reason that it can target like weird stuff. And the fact that this is like any permanent is pretty interesting. One thing I was thinking about was like, do you put this in landfall decks?
It is disgusting.
Like if your landfall deck has blue in it,
like the reason that Scapeshift is so good in landfall decks is obviously it tutors a couple important lands, but it just gives you a million landfall triggers.
yeah, exactly.
And this gives you a million landfall triggers, and there's
If you have
not many effects like that.
Balos out on the end step too, because it's got flash, and you just have like 8 lands like that, and that's a pretty modest. That's not even the most broken use of it, but like yeah, even just like an AC or something, right?
Yeah.
You just draw a bajillion.
Think of all the Moloids you'll make.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool use of it. I mean, anything that is just sort of a difficult type to reset or a difficult type to make all those things leave. So sagas, lands, battles, planeswalkers. I don't know. Like
Reset the loyalties. Yeah, I like the saga thing quite a bit. Reset the counters and sagas. This is really good with Kang Dynasty.
ugh,
Yeah.
really cool card. I like how expensive it is. I like that it like feels worth that. And you can do some really, really wild tricks with this. So I don't know. Fear the Silver Surfer.
For sure. Quite powerful.
Oh, I like this next card quite a lot, actually. It's
Also
the
quite
10
powerful.
Rings. This is an 8 mana legendary artifact. Your maximum hand size is 10. And at the beginning of your end step, if you have fewer than 10 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference. So this is a giant colorless draw engine, which there just aren't that many of. And I've built a couple of decks lately that are just like big mana decks in monocolored or in colorless that are desperate for like anything that draws 3 cards.
Yeah.
And this draws a lot more than 3.
Because those big mana decks often like play so much things that sort of ramp you and get you access to being able to just cast big things, but then you like, I ran out of stuff to do with the mana. Yeah, and 10 Rings says, cool. Well, now that you have a lot of mana, just spend it on this and that'll give you all the things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems just sweet, like a really cool top end for your colorless deck that's short on draw, or like a mono green big mana deck that's short on draw. If you're casting Ugins and stuff, I think this is something that you look at.
Yeah, I want to couch this in. I think you probably have to be able to cheat the cost in some way to be playing this. So you've got Ironheart, you've got whatever it is. Then there's a bunch of ways.
Yeah, Belby.
Something like that.
Sure,
There's a bunch of decks that are like, hey, they provide you with like a bunch of colorless mana. It'll be really good in those. But I don't think if your plan is to like just sort of cast this, even with conventional ramp,
right?
It's probably not the way to go. But there is this class of deck, and you're talking about one of them, that is like eventually trying to get to big colorless thing or big artifact thing, one of those two forks. And like, once you get up there, we were talking about earlier, the options are kind of limited. You've got Portal to Phyrexia, which is the best one. And then you've got this slew of like Triplicate Titan, Blightsteel, Phyrexian Triniform, Wondrous Crucible, I even put it in there. Chameel maybe goes in there. Like you start running out of like really good things to do with like 8+ mana and artifacts. And so this definitely is better than a lot of the ones I just said, which tells me like it's going to fit into one. It's not as good as Portal to Phyrexia, but it might be the second best one of those.
Yeah, I mean, like I've looked at Endstone in decks like that, and those, the problem with the Endstone is the Endstone requires you to have stuff to get card draw, and this is like, you don't have stuff? Here's a bunch of stuff. Here's even more stuff. Like something.
And you're already at the point where you can deploy it, we know, because you cast this.
What I really like it in is even something like an Azusa deck, where it's just full of lands. It can dump its lands into play and then refill at the end of turn. Means you can keep your wheels spinning every single turn. And yeah, you paid 8 mana and you have something that cannot defend your life total, but like those kind of decks are designed to turbo these things out, where 8 mana is going to feel like
those decks usually aren't worried about the mana cost of it, or even that you're defending your life total so much as like, did I just get to a stopping point where like I literally don't have cards to deploy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's easy to miss, but the 10 rings, it draws you up to 10, and then on your next turn you cast a bunch of cards and it draws you up to 10 again. So it doesn't just draw you however many cards it did the first time. It's going to do that every turn, as long as you still have it. Yeah.
Cool card. I think it'll see play in the right decks, of course.
Yeah. There was another card I wanted to talk about while we're here that I think might also belong on that list of like big artifacts to cheat out once you get up there, and it's Vision Spectral Synthoid.
Oh yeah, this card's
Synthozoid. Yeah, which is 6 blue for a flying 2/5 that says once during each of your turns you may cast a non-creature or robot spell from your hand without paying its mana cost.
Gross.
Yeah, so this is I think it fits into those same decks where you go, play this and play the Portal to Phyrexia, and now it's sitting there as a like, if you answer a thing, I'm still 10 rings next turn and something else. Yeah. So is another possible sort of top end thing.
Yeah, cool. A lot of sweet things that you can do with this. The big green decks are the ones that I'm most excited for, but colorless decks will be excited to see it as.
Yeah, I don't play as many big green decks, but I do play a lot of like as many Ethereum Sculptor type things as possible. And that eventually get to like casting a lot of small artifacts for free, and then they're trying to build up to a Portal Phyrexia type thing.
Right.
This fits perfectly in that, because it's like, have 0 cards drop to 10, deploy almost all of them for free.
Oh yeah. Cool. Let's move on to this next one, which is going to look a little familiar. It's the Vision and Scarlet Witch.
Because they watched that TV show.
Yeah, because you watched the show. It's 2 red.
Jimmy was on stage with Vision. Look, Jimmy's just all over this episode.
He's not even here. This is 2 red for a 3/3 with flying. It is a legendary artifact creature mutant hero. Artifact Vision, the mutant hero.
Yep.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch.
Yep.
Whenever you cast a spell, add red and put a +1/+1 counter on the Vision and Scarlet Witch. So this is a growing, flying artifact Beergy.
Or Electro.
Or Stormkilling Artist, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We
know this is good, and we know it sort of costs around this much mana, and the big question for me is like, we probably have enough of this effect now. Like, are we running all of these? I feel like no. There's also, Urbrask in the mix, so there's like 5 or 6 of them now. I'm not running, I don't think, 6 of these.
No.
So the big question is like, does this supplant one of the other ones to make it on the list? Like, on your depth chart,
Yeah, it sort of depends on what you're doing. I mean, Electro and Stormkilling Artist, and I think Urbrask are all limited to instants and sorceries.
Yep.
So in those Stormy decks, those are going to be the default. The big difference here is
spell.
Vision and Scarlet Witch don't care about what kind of spell, and neither does Beergy. So if you're doing like an Artifact Storm type of deck, then these are going to fit in a little bit better. But if you're casting instants and sorceries, and that's the way you're storming, I would default to Electro or Stormkilling Artist.
Beergy goes in all of them.
Yeah, Beergy is always. She's 3 mana and also is the horn.
Yeah.
So I would probably default away from it. It's worth noting that this is an artifact, so like more things can kill it. And it is going to be a big, scary flying threat at some point, which is a positive because obviously you can hit people with it, but it is also a negative because it's going to attract a lot of attention.
Yeah, yeah.
People don't feel like your Stormkilling Artist is an existential threat. It's
you don't play these though generally and let them sit around for very long. They just won't last. So
yeah.
You almost always sequencing it so you play it on the turn you're going off or the turn before you're going off. You're daring people like, if I untap with this, that'll be it. And you're picking your moment there. But So I don't think the +1 counter matters that much on the card.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one. More copying artifacts. It's Ultron Artificial Malevolence.
Yeah, it feels a little similar to a card we've already seen.
3 mana legendary artifact creature. It's a robot villain. It's 2/4. Whenever another non-token artifact you control enters, you may pay 2. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it. If the token isn't a creature, it becomes a 2/2 robot villain creature in addition to its other types. So it's like Mirror works on a 3 mana guy, but the thing it makes is guys.
Yeah.
So it's sort of similar to Iron Man Bleeding Edge, but it's interesting in a couple of ways. It's colorless.
Yep.
And it does create the token. So this one is actually good with token doublers.
Yep.
And the token copies that it makes are creatures.
Yeah. Which could be an upside, could be a downside. Depends.
Depends, for sure. If you're copying like a Signet, it's a significant downside because the Signet doesn't tap for mana because it is summoning sick.
I would say it's probably a downside more often than an upside, but it's probably like a 60-40 split or something like that.
Yeah, because they get swept up in board wipes a little bit easier.
But they are blockers.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're spinning your wheel with artifact decks, it's just nice to be able to like not die to the attackers.
Yeah, or just create attackers where you're like, at least this goes.
Yeah,
like,
it's like, how do you win? Well, sometimes I just have 12 robots.
Yeah, and I figure out how to kill somebody with that. So some interesting upsides and downsides. I think the colorless and the 3 mana of it all are probably the biggest things, but paying 2 every time does get spendy.
Yeah. But in general, a deck that's got Ultron probably has Ethereum Sculptor and stuff, and that's what you're hoping to copy, and you're trying to reduce, and therefore, yeah, ping 2 is not nothing, though, and Mirror Works reads well, you never play it, it's just too much. So
That's too much.
Yeah, so my guess is Ultron is probably like medium, and probably more often than not, you're like, I really don't want to pay the 2 to do this.
But when you do, it's going to feel great.
Yeah.
Interesting. They're so similar. It's funny. One's a main set, and Iron Man is a commander card, so they're in slightly different sets.
Yeah.
Okay, another blue card.
Yeah, the next one is Valeria Richards, Precocious. 3 and a blue for a 3/3 legendary human scientist hero. Non-creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And whenever you cast your first non-creature spell each turn, draw a card.
Okay, 1 card per turn, but gives you that big reduction, which is nice.
Best friends with Ironheart.
Yeah, gosh. The interesting tug and pull of this card is cost reducers go best in decks that are trying to cast a lot of spells in a turn, and this only gives you 1 card per turn, but that's probably a decent break. We're okay with that.
I think it's fine.
I think it's fine.
I think it's fine.
Still going to draw you plenty of cards, and it can go in a lot of decks. Artifacts, instants and sorceries, planeswalkers.
Yeah, it's probably best in artifact decks, I'm going to think.
Cost reducers usually are.
Yeah, exactly, because you can reduce to 0, which you usually can't do with instants and sorceries because most of them have a colored pip. So that's going to be my guess, but it's probably going to be playable in Stormy type decks because a lot of times you play a lot of cantrips, so you're just like, cool, I will cast my first non-creature spell on multiple turns and get multiple card draw that way.
The caution with these spells is always make sure if you're playing a non-creature spell, you're not replacing all your non-creatures with creatures that care about non-creatures.
Yeah.
You have to balance. You need more instants and sorceries and artifacts than you do creatures that pay off that thing.
Yep.
So look at your support pieces and try and balance that number without eating out too much of your enablers.
This is a card where there are 2 sides of it, and if you look at the mana cost, I do like the cost, right? 2 mana goes towards your cost reducer, 2 mana goes towards your this card draw thing. But I'm not sure until I sort of see this in action if I like the cost combined, because 4 mana it sits at this spot, which I feel like is very crowded, and it's hard to cast a do-nothing 4-mana spell anymore. So that's my worry with this card is I think it reads well, but I'm going to be a little bit hesitant. I'm going to put it in some decks and see how it goes. But I'll be willing to take it out because I suspect it's possible that I'll learn it's just too hard to actually realize the potential of the card taking turn 4 to do this. It's just too low impact. I've just found that happening more these days because, again, Commander is just a little faster.
And support cards are better than they've ever been. This spot is really, really crowded. I mean, it's competing with the red and blue one that doubles all of your payoff stuff.
Exactly.
There's just a lot in this slot to fight with. So I agree. I think Valeria Richards looks very open-ended and can do hypothetically good things for you, but may not feel as good on the battlefield.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. It's just will I not be able to find something better? This next one's interesting. Wanda's Vision.
Not WandaVision.
Wanda's Vision. Yeah, because we don't have the rights to the TV show. We only got the rights to the comics, right? That's how that works? All right, Wanda's Vision. Was the WandaVision TV show based on a comic series? It must have been, I guess.
I assume so.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't read the comics. I've only watched the movies and
I've seen the show.
and some of the shows. I liked WandaVision.
It was fun.
But I haven't watched all the Marvel shows by any stretch. Just because there's a lot of them. Okay, Wanda's Vision. 3 red. And they're not all that good. For an enchantment.
There it is.
I couldn't help it. Some are.
WandaVision was great.
Yeah. All right. 3 red. For an enchantment. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. So it is Cascade-esque. It doesn't care about the mana value. It is just the next spell off the top of your deck, the next non-land card off the top of your deck. And it's whenever you cast your second spell each turn.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to want to be able to play this and then follow it up with a spell the turn you play.
Yeah, do not cast this and then pass. You have to go like cast this, then opt.
Yes, that's the best. But it is an interesting combination of things where you're like, okay, I want to be able to cast something cheap and get something big, but we're not really going to give you that choice. So it's very possible that you could cast something cheap and get something cheap and be like, well, I got a free card out of it. I drew it and I cast it. That's fine.
But it was for 5 mana.
Is it worth 5 mana?
That's my worry is it wants you to cast 2 spells in a turn. Mm-hmm. Decks that are good at casting 2 spells in a turn are usually low mana value decks that have a lot of cantrip stuff or a lot of low mana stuff, right? They're not casting one big thing. They're casting 2 things. But that means it limits the amount of value you can get off this because if your mana curve is low, then the things you're likely to hit off of this are low mana value things. So, which the dream is like, obviously, your next spell off your top is Portal to Phyrexia, right? Like something huge. But that deck won't necessarily line up well with this card because if it has a lot of that stuff, it's probably not casting second spells all the time.
Right. You really want, I would say I want to hit like a 3 or 4 drop minimum off of this on the first hit.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you feel like you've overpaid.
5,
Because you pay 5 mana, you draw the card, and then you cast it. So you're like, all right, I spend a little bit of mana drawing the card and then the rest casting it.
3 drop. It was 2 to draw, 3 to play. I'm happy with
That's
it.
fine. Yeah. And then if it gets removed, you're like, well, you know, it cantripped, sort of. But any less than that, and you do feel like, well, I guess I got a free thing, and I'm just gonna.
I almost would have rather just draw that card though.
Right.
So let's say it's an arcane signet. I could have played that and something else.
And
yeah.
So it's taken your entire turn to do that. So it leans into sort of the chaos of it all. Like if you're interested in a deck where you throw things in and see what comes out, like a Cascade deck. If you have a lot of Cascade spells, it actually gets really good.
Yeah.
Because if you hit a Cascade spell, you can cast another spell on top of that, and that mana curve tends to swing kind of high.
Right. Well, your Cascade will hit a second spell.
That's what I mean.
Then that will be your second spell.
Right. Yeah. So it's 2 spells
Guaranteed
in one.
Off one Cascade,
and if you hit a Cascade off of this thing, then you get 2 spells off of it. So I think that's a decent spot for it. Maybe Cast from Exile decks want this where you get some payoff for, you do Cast from Exile, right? Yeah, Exile cards. Yeah. So like maybe that's enough of a payoff where you're not worried quite as much about what you get out of it. But I'm a little curious to see where this card winds up. I think it's fun, but not necessarily great.
Yeah, I think it's similar to what I was saying about Valyria, where like if 4 mana is hard for a do nothing, 5's hard. Now this doesn't have to be do nothing, but you have to sequence it like you said. So you have to have a 1 drop in hand, or maybe on turn 7 with a 2 drop. But that seems crazy. Yeah, so I think it's a card that reads really well, and sometimes we'll go off in a game and you'll be like, that card's really good, but then you'll often play it and be like, I can't find a spot to put this out, or I put it out, it doesn't do anything, and it doesn't do much the next turn, like I hit a 2 drop off it, and then the game's over.
It reminds me a little of Sunbird's Invocation.
Yes.
It's obviously cheaper than that, but Sunbird's Invocation has a very similar kind of effect than this, and it has absolutely been power crept out. I believe Sunbird's Invocation is 6.
Yeah.
The difference between 5 and 6 is tough.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison.
All right, let's talk about this last one. I think this card is
we got one
so
left.
Fun.
This card it's cool design too.
It's cool. It's worlds within worlds. 5, a green and a blue for a sorcery. Exile all creatures. Each player may put any number of creature cards from their hand onto the battlefield, then put all cards exiled this way into their owner's hands. Exile worlds within worlds.
It's living death, but instead of your graveyard, it's your hand.
Yeah. What?
That's hilarious. I just love the design. That's so cool.
So fun.
Yeah.
The fact that it's in Simic makes a ton of sense because they tend to have the biggest hands.
Yep.
But yeah, it does this really weird thing where it like wipes the board, sort of, like in a living death way. and then replaces the board. And if your opponents are low on cards, then it's really good.
Just like if they're low on graveyards, it's really good for Delivering Death. Yeah.
And then if you're high on cards, then it's really good.
Yep.
So it's a cool top end for like a dedicated card draw deck.
Yeah, with a lot of creatures.
Yes, that too.
But I think that fits Simic like so well. Like Simic is, often drawing a lot of cards and has a lot of creatures, and that's all you really need. Because if you look around the table and you're like, I got 20 cards, everybody else has 5.
Yeah.
I mean,
that
math's going to work really well for you.
Yeah, I played against, AD has a Multani deck that plays like big card draw spells to draw 1 million off of Multani, and then plays Eureka to like cheat all this stuff. And this is very similar, just sort of cleaner than Eureka. And it wins the game because it's really hard to catch up with that difference in value.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like this design a lot, and I think that it's narrow, but the decks that go in is going to be pretty clearly evident. And
I hope it's good.
Huh?
I hope it's good.
Yeah, it will be good where it's good. I think the places it's good is sort of more rare than the places Living Death is good, but still, yeah. I mean, I play a lot of decks that just want, at some point in the game, they're going to have 20 cards in their hand. And that's, as long as you have a creature count above 25 or 30 in your deck, then that spot's going to be good.
Yeah, and you're going to spend 7 mana and get 20 value minimum off of
easily.
this.
And everybody else's stuff is gone, and in some of those cases they'll be like, oh, I didn't even have a creature in hand, or I had 1.
Right.
So they're going to be suddenly flip the whole board into like you have 9 things and the combined rest of the table has 3.
You're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Also your token's gone. Cool. I think that card's really fun.
Yeah, super fun.
Okay, so in just a moment, we're going to talk about the cards that we think were the most powerful from this set, the ones that we talked about today.
And our favorites.
But we're going to get to that in just a moment. If you want to pick up any of the cards that we talked about today, or any of the pre-cons or sealed product from this set, you can support the show while going to cardkingdom.com/command. Card Kingdom is the best. They're really professional, and when I buy cards from them, I know I'm going to get the cards that I want. I'm going to get them safely packaged. I'm going to get the versions that I wanted, and it's not going to take me all day to get it done. So, Magic can take a lot of time, but I like that I can know the cards that I want. I can paste it into their website. It's going to give me a big list of cards all on one page. I can pick the ones that I want, and I'm done. I know that they're going to show up, and I'm going to have a fun day of updating all of my decks. Plus, you can support the show if you use our affiliate link at cardkingdom.com/command.
And of course, once you get those cards, you want to keep them all looking awesome on your battlefield and protected. Ultra Pro is the game accessories brand we trust our own collections to here at the Command Zone. If you go to ultrapro.com/command, you can find all their awesome products. We've got a MagicCon coming up in Amsterdam pretty soon, and I think the best product to bring to one of those events are the Mana 8 line, which is Ultra Pro's line that's just the stark white with the singular mana symbol on each thing. They got binders, they got deck boxes, they got playmats. And the thing that all of the content creators love about signing these is it's very easy to pick a spot. Your signature shows up really well. Everybody that walks up to us with those, it's just like, oh, you got the Mana 8, this is awesome.
It looks so cool.
I would highly recommend those Mana 8 products.
Yeah.
We should mention we're going to be in Amsterdam July 17th, Game Nights Live. You should see it. We'll also be there on the Saturday and Sunday doing meet and greets and looking for games and stuff.
We're very excited.
Yeah. And
can't wait to see you all again.
There's also a link. Amsterdam's sold out, so no more badges you can buy for that. But there's also a link in the show notes for Atlanta badges, which just went on sale. And if you want to be part of that experience in November and come see us there, then secure your badge before they sell out.
Yeah, they go fast. And Atlanta was a really, really fun show last year, and we can't wait to be back. So.
Atlanta, great city, really good food city.
Really good food city.
Yeah, I would highly recommend if you haven't been there. It is a cool town. I
would also say that like the Atlanta MagicCon had such a different like group of people at it that it was like normally we get used to seeing sort of the same group of people at Vegas or like some of the other like even Chicago. But I felt like at Atlanta, there were so many new faces, so many people with their first con because we just haven't spent that much time in the South. So it was really fun to be down there and can't wait to go back.
Yeah, hope to see you there.
Okay.
All right, let's get to the fun part here. What is our favorite card and what we think is the most powerful
card? Let's start with our favorite.
Okay.
I couldn't really settle on one that I liked, so I picked a few. I really like World Within Worlds. I think that card's just really fun and makes for a big moment.
That's
in
the
a
last
game.
one we talked about.
The last one that we talked about that swaps the hand and battlefield. But I think the one that I'm like the most excited to put into decks for me is Falcon and Redwing. The card's incredible. It fits into a lot of the decks that I really like to build. So it'll go right into Jihada and maybe even Plague-On. Like it just checks a lot of boxes and is a problem all in its own.
Yeah, Falcon and Redwing is very sweet. I think it's a very good card. That's a good pick. My favorite is Kang Dynasty.
Yeah, that card's sweet.
I just love that card. It makes me, just reading it makes me feel safe. And then I think if you've listened to this show for very long, you know that's like one of my favorite things to do in Magic. Is
I want to keep playing.
Yeah.
But I want to feel like I'm not going to die.
Does this make me feel safe? I like it.
Great. Kang, famous for keeping people safe.
That's funny. All right, so let's move on to most powerful card. What we think is the most powerful card for in the 99 from the set.
It's a tricky one. There's a lot of choices.
Yeah, I always have an issue deciding on most powerful, and we always talk about this, but I'll just go over it again real quickly, because how do you define powerful? Is it the thing in its best case scenario, or is it the thing in its average, or even a low case scenario? We both have one, so I guess we can say that one first, because we both had a couple.
Yeah.
So Black Widow, we both put on the list.
Yes. I think this is just a card that's going to show up in a lot of places, is a very unique effect for the colors, and it's really hard to beat it in terms of the decks that can play it. Like, I think it's just going to be an auto include for tons of players.
Yeah, this is a power level as calculated by, like, its floor is, very high. Like, it can't be bad. It can only be, but its top end is not like the highest of the high, right? Like it doesn't win you the game directly, although you often win games because of a card like Black Widow. It just won't be evident when you win them that's why. Yeah. So that's probably the card that we'll see the most of, is my guess, out of all the cards we talked about today.
Despite it being two colors.
Yeah, that's the only thing that could kind of keep it, out of that. Could make that wrong. I mean, I could see Falcon and Redwing being the card we see the most. It could be up there. Okay. I'm going to say Ironheart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which
in terms
I
of
think
like the synergistic high ceiling pick.
Yeah, now that one only goes in very narrow decks, but I think it's going to be so good in those decks that it's going to be like an auto include in like low creature count, high artifact count decks. And we'll even see some play in ones that maybe are even more instant and sorcery based, but create enough artifacts. Instants and sorceries that make artifacts like if you have a lot of big score type stuff in there, then that becomes really good. So that's what I'm gonna say. I don't feel super confident about my second pick, but I do like Ironheart.
Yeah, I think Ironheart is definitely a high ceiling, and when it comes down, you're like, well, that can't stay. It is certainly one of those cards. I feel the same about the one that I picked, which was Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
We play so much of the 2-mana little artifact that taps to draw a card when you make a token, and this is like, yeah, you can draw that and more. Anything you want.
Just keep drawing.
Just keep drawing.
Yeah. Why doesn't it say once per turn?
Why doesn't it say once per turn or be limited somehow?
Yeah. I like your idea of taking the May out.
I love that.
That's a great limiter.
It's one of my favorite things about Archmage Emeritus is that there's no May and it triggers on copies. So there's Storm decks where you're like, oh, I'm dying. I have to get this off the battlefield. So I think that's what makes for really fun commandery moments where you're like the greed is the thing that punished you.
Yeah.
But yeah, this card is just going to be very powerful, and it's in blue is like sort of the weirdest thing. It just means it's going to show up next to non-creature artifacts a little bit more. But
yeah, that card's sweet.
Really powerful.
Very powerful. All right, that is our review of all the cards from Marvel Superheroes.
There's so many more.
We definitely didn't miss any.
You wouldn't believe how many more there are.
40 off of our list that we want to talk about. So yeah, definitely if there's another card or 2 or 3 or whatever that you think we should have mentioned that you think's awesome for in the 99 from the set, put it in the comments below. Just because we didn't mention it doesn't mean somebody shouldn't, and that will help. Yeah. That'll be, people can scroll through that and maybe find some other hidden gems. We just tried to cover the ones that we predict you will see sort of the most broadly.
Yeah.
All right. I do have an end step I wanted to talk about really quick.
Let's do it. This is a great one.
Yeah. So, famous old school Magic. I guess he's the Magic. He was like the Hall of Fame guy, the guy that ran the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Did a Pro Tour commentary for years and years. So BDM, Brian David Marshall, is, just been around Magic content creation for forever. I
He runs events at every Magic Con.
Yeah.
He's like still very present in the community, which is great.
Yeah, and was in very early episode of our podcast, like one of the first 10, I think.
That's where my Sidisi deck came from, was that episode with him.
Yeah, that deck, he says people still have him sign it. So, and one of the very early Commander adopters for sure. I don't know I think he's one of the early people I even heard talk about Commander. So he's been around for a long, long time, and he just launched a game that, it's his game. Like, he's one of the designers of, and it's called Cataclysm Arcade. And there's a Kickstarter out for it now. We'll put a link in the show notes. That's doing quite well. The game looks cool. It's a card game, comes in booster packs. It's built by Magic people. Becca Scott and her channel, Good Time Society, did a video on it. Prof did a video about it. We'll link those in the show notes as well. And BDM's just a good guy, created a cool game, knows Magic and Magic players. We think you'll probably like the game. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, give it a look in the show notes. But it is time for us to go. We got to say thank you to our amazing team here at the Command Zone. Thank you to Karina Cruz, Josh Diaz, John Schneider, Gaurav Gulati, Jamie Block, Jordan Pridgeon, Jake Boss, Becky Bell, Eric Lem, Manson Lung, Josh Murphy, Evan Limburger, Sam Waldo, and of course, Jimmy Wong.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Peace.